Don't miss the awesome Naruto stories my sister creates. Her last channel was hacked, so to stay in the loop, please subscribe to her new channel. It would mean a lot to her, and you won't regret it. Hello to all lovers of lemon scenes. I invite you all to my boosty so you can watch your favorite Naruto What If stories in complete comfort. A subscription to Naruto Lemon, the first video with a full lemon, is already on my boosty channel. Dare! October 10th, Naruto's birthday and the Kyuubi's attack. While Kushina restrained the Kyuubi with her chains, the third Hokage quickly formed a series of seals and called upon the god of death. With his help, he sealed the full Kyuubi into Naruto, and the baby withstood the pressure of the demonic chakra. Sarutobi fell dead, Kushina fell unconscious, and only Minato remained on his feet. He was very afraid that the Nine Tails might break out in the middle of his house, and therefore he gave Naruto to a shelter. When Kushina woke up, Minato told her that Naruto died from chakra pressure. Information about Naruto being a Jinchuriki leaked through Danzo and the Root fighters, so the entire village began to hate Naruto. After Kushina learned of her son's death, she became depressed, cried constantly, and refused to conceive another child. After 4 years, Naruto was kicked out of the orphanage at 4 due to hatred towards him. Kushina decided that she could at least take her mind off the memories a little if she went on a mission, so she went to the Hokage residence. Arriving there, she was about to enter, but overheard a conversation. "Minato, give me Naruto Uzumaki at the root," said one of the elders, Danzo. "No, Danzo, go away," the Hokage answered him. "Okay, don't regret it later." When Kushina heard Naruto's name, she froze, unable to move. But she heard footsteps towards the door and quickly retreated. She immediately went to the ANBU headquarters. How did she get there, you ask? I will answer. Kushina is one of the strongest ninjas in the village, so getting into the headquarters is not much of a problem for her. When she arrived, she started looking for information about Naruto. From there she found out where he lived and immediately ran there. Naruto's POV. Wow, that hurt. At least I could get home. Looks like they broke my arm and some of my ribs. I hope the organs are not affected. Phew, I'm finally home. Still to reach the bed. Naruto's POV. He collapsed on the bed, unable to move. Minato, you will answer for my son, was spinning in Kushina's mind. She ran as fast as she could. When she came running, she started knocking, but no one opened. So she decided to pull the door handle. When Kushina pulled the handle, the door opened, to which she was a little surprised. Entering the house, and later Naruto's room, Kushina fell into a stupor. Naruto was lying on the bed with his back up, he was covered in blood and it was clearly visible that his arm was broken. Kushina quickly figured out what to do. She found a first aid kit, filled with water, took a rag, and also a splint for her arm, turned Naruto onto his stomach and began to treat his wounds, to which he occasionally moaned. Speaking of Naruto's injuries, just as Kushina thought, his arm was broken. By touch, Kushi realized that Naruto had several broken ribs. He also had scrapes and bruises all over his body. Tears did not flow from Naruto's eyes randomly, apparently the offenders took a pretty good hit on the boy's eyes. Kushina herself could not hold back her tears, seeing the state of her beloved son. Out of fear, Kushi quickly treated all of Naruto's wounds, bandaged him, and splinted her son's arm. When she finished with Naruto's wounds, she sat down next to him and, crying, stroked his head. A couple of hours later, Naruto woke up and saw a very beautiful woman in front of him. He had never seen a more beautiful woman before. Naruto involuntarily fell in love. He quickly pulled himself together and finally asked what had worried him from the very beginning. "Excuse me, but who are you?" "Excuse me, but who are you?" Naruto asked with a bit of fear, but when he saw the tears, he was very surprised and relaxed a little. "I'm sorry Naruto, son, my son." Naruto was even more surprised by the woman's words. Kushina, on the other hand, could not hold back her tears at all and sobbed very loudly, while Naruto was unconscious, she put a barrier on the apartment that hid sounds, distorted the picture and did not allow chakra to pass through. Are you my mother? Another question from Naruto. With an undisguised trembling in his voice. Yes Naruto, I am your mother. Sorry son, sorry Naruto. Said the woman, hugging her son quite tightly, but not forgetting about the ribs that were broken just a few hours ago. Mama! The boy roared, clutching the woman and pressing himself as tightly as possible. He continued, but where were you before? Do you have any idea how hard it was for me without you? Almost every day they beat me, strangled me, drowned me, tried to burn me, and such accusations could go on for a long time. Please tell me, where have you been? Asked a sobbing Naruto. I'm sorry Naruto, listen to me please. Kushina said, also sobbing, my name is Kushina Uzumaki, I am the wife of Minato Namikaze, or the 4th Hokage. 4 years ago, our son was born, we named him Naruto. It's you, son. Then the Kyubi no Yoko, or the 9 tails, was sealed inside me. The boy did not let her finish, interrupting her by saying. Kurama. Sorry, what? The woman asked, moving away a little and in a much calmer voice than before. Kurama. This is Kyubi's name. Please call him that. Naruto said, his voice still trembling, but with a small but very warm smile, which made Kushina also smile warmly and sincerely. Okay, I'm sorry. I will continue. She asked her son and, seeing a slight nod from Naruto, continued, back then I was Kurama's Jinchuriki. After your birth, Minato was attacked by a masked man. After that, he extracted Kurama from me. The 3 of us fought against the fox, me, Minato and the 3rd Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen. During a protracted battle, we managed to win, and at the cost of his life, Hiruzen sealed the fox into you. After the battle, I fell exhausted. During this time, Minato took you to the orphanage, out of fear of the fox. All these 4 years, I was deeply depressed and often cried, refusing to have a new child. I thought you were dead. The woman finished her story, becoming noticeably sad at the last words and lowering her gaze to the floor. What do you say to Ku? Naruto said mentally to Kurama. Flashback. After Naruto fell onto the bed, he immediately passed out. Naruto woke up in a very strange place. Where am I? I remember exactly how I passed out while lying on the bed. Naruto thought, looking around. This place looked a lot like a sewer. The water was ankle deep. Naruto decided to go straight. After walking around for about 10 minutes, the kid came out into a huge room for Naruto. In the middle of the room there was a cage, on it hung a piece of paper with the kanji, seal. Naruto thought about it and decided to come closer. Hi. Is anyone here? Naruto asked in great fear. And here is my jailer, said the fox in a deep voice, have you come to ask for my strength? With obvious contempt and superiority in his voice, the huge fox with 9 tails asked when he was born. Naruto, seeing the fox, froze, looking at Kyubi with an admiring gaze. Hey, the fox brought the boy out of prostration, are you deaf or something? Oh sorry. You are simply very beautiful. Naruto answered the fox, which drove Kyubi into a stupor. First of all, I don't know how I got here. Secondly, who are you? Thirdly, I don't need your power. And you are an interesting kid. Before asking someone's name, try introducing yourself first. Said the fox much softer. Exactly, sorry. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. How about you? Naruto said in a low bow, which surprised the fox even more. Baby, why do you need to know my name? Asked the fox, bending down to the very base of the cage. I just thought that you would become my friend, Naruto answered, lowering his head and continued, and I would like to have friendly relations with the one who is unwillingly sitting inside me, the boy said and, seeing the surprised look, continued, I love to read because no one wants to communicate or be friends with me, and one day in a book I saw a seal very similar to the one on my stomach. After reading it, I realized that I was most likely a Jinchuriki. And you are Kyubi no Yoko. Am I right? And you are very insightful, said the fox after thinking a little. And then continued, my name is Kurama. Baby, when you hear my voice in your head, don't be scared. This is our mental connection with you. You can just think about something and I will hear your thoughts. Wow. You have such a beautiful name. Naruto replied, looking at Kurama in admiration. Hey, were you even listening to me? The fox growled indignantly. Of course, I will definitely communicate with you. Now how to get out of here? The boy answered and asked. That's great, now get out of here. END flashback. What do you say to Ku? Naruto mentally asked Kurama. Baby, she's not lying. In her words, I didn't see a drop of lies, but only love, anger directed at herself and at Minato, shame and resentment, again, directed at herself. Kyubi answered him. Thank you, Ku. Mom, stop crying. I'm not mad at you. I understand perfectly why I didn't have a mother for 4 years. Naruto said, smiling tenderly. Thank you, son. I didn't even hope that you would forgive me. The woman answered, hugging her son and wiping away tears. How did you know about my existence? Asked the son of Bloody Habanera. This morning, I decided to take a mission in order to take a little break from my emotions, Kushina began, and when I reached Minato's office, I heard a conversation between Minato and one of the elders, in which Danzo asked to take you to the ANBU route, but Minato refused. Then I immediately ran to look for information about you. It's clear. Thank you, Mom. Naruto said, hugging his mother closer to him. Naruto, lie down, I'll change the bandages and check your wounds. The boy's mother said in an orderly tone. Naruto decided not to argue and went back to bed. Kushina took off the bandages and was very surprised. All of Naruto's wounds had healed, even his broken ribs had healed. Naruto, is Kurama healing you? The woman asked, looking at her son in surprise. Yes. Today, when I came home, I immediately passed out and woke up in a very strange place, the kid began. It looked like a sewer. Naruto recounted everything that happened in his subconscious. Kurama was not against Naruto told Kushina everything. In the evening of the same day. Okay, Naruto, I need to go home, otherwise Minato will come home soon, and I probably need to maintain the mask of depression for a while. Said the woman. Okay, Mom, will you come tomorrow? The boy answered and asked with hope in his voice. Of course I'll come, son. She answered and hugged her son, to which he responded, left the apartment and went home in high spirits. Naruto went to bed. As soon as he closed his eyes, he found himself in the subconscious. This is the best day of my life. Naruto shouted as he ran inside the cage towards Kurama. When he got there, Kurama wrapped his tails around him and placed him on his head. And in mine too, baby. The fox said barely audible, but the boy heard him, to which they both smiled. Listen, Kurama. Yes? Answered the fox, opening his eyes slightly. What needs to be done so that you don't sit in this cage? Said the boy with obvious interest. Baby, for this you need to remove the seal from the cage, but he didn't have time to finish, because Naruto immediately ran and tried to remove the seal. But he was prevented from finishing by a very gentle hand that Naruto felt only once in his life. Mother? Asked Naruto, who was clearly surprised. Jerk. Kurama roared from the cage, first, listen to the end, and then do it. He shouted. Sorry. Naruto said, lowering his head guiltily. Son, why did you want to remove the seal? Intervened the woman who had previously watched their argument. Kurama and I became friends and I wanted him not to sit in a cage, but the fox had already climbed in. He didn't listen to me and almost died. It's good that you showed up. Kurama finished instead of Naruto. Mom, who is this with you? The boy asked, looking at the old man, who was no less than 80 years old. Hello Naruto, I am Sarutobi Hiruzen or the third Hokage. The old man answered instead of Kushina. After that they talked for a long time. Naruto told everything that happened to him and what happened to him today. Naruto, our chakra that we sealed into you is running out, so we will leave our knowledge to you and disappear. Sarutobi said. Fine. Thank you, Naruto said, after which Kushina and Hiruzen touched his forehead with their middle and index fingers and a wave of information washed over Naruto, but before losing consciousness, he uttered the last word, "Thank you." Kushi caught the baby and carefully laid him on the floor. At that time Hiruzen approached the fox and began to say, "Kurama, as I understand it, you are not going to take over the boy's body," and seeing a nod from the fox, he continued, "I'll give you the key from print. When Naruto wakes up, give it to him." Kurama nodded, after which Kushina and Hiruzen bowed and disappeared, and Kurama picked Naruto up with his tails and placed him on his head, after which he fell asleep. Naruto woke up 6 hours later on Kurama's head. "Ku, are you sleeping?" Naruto asked. "Not anymore." The fox answered him. "What happened after I passed out?" The boy continued to ask. "When you passed out, old man Hiruzen gave me the key to the seal and disappeared. After, we were both asleep." Kurama said. "Oh, so you have the key? Give it here." The baby shouted and jumped off the fox's head. "Hold it." Kurama gave the key. Naruto took the key and ran to the gate. "Baby, are you sure?" "Shut up, otherwise I'll never open it again." Naruto shouted again, and Kurama just nodded. Naruto opened the scroll, wrote something and scrolled the seal on his stomach, after which the cage opened. "Ha ha ha. Now I'm free." Kurama began to laugh evilly. "Kurama, this is not funny." Naruto answered absolutely calmly. Okay, just kidding," said the fox laughing. Naruto thought. "What?" asked Ku. "I'm thinking, since I'm in my subconscious, I can change everything here." Naruto said thoughtfully. "Probably you can." Making a sign, saying, "How should I know?" said the fox, "Try it." "You are right." Naruto concentrated and the water under his feet began to disappear along with the cage. Instead, a clearing with green grass, thick trees and a blue sky appeared. Also, not far from Kurama, a small house appeared. Naruto opened his eyes and said, "It worked." Kurama lay down on the grass and said, "Thank you, baby." "Thank you," said Naruto, approaching the fox and starting to stroke him. "It was you who agreed to be friends with me, for which I am immensely grateful to you." So, they talked for a long time. Around 10 a.m., Kurama said, "Naruto, you have to go." "They came to you, mother?" Naruto asked in response. "How should I know?" "Probably yes." "Okay, thanks Ku," Naruto said and came out of his subconscious. "Father, you were right. This is exactly who you were talking about," Kurama thought as he fell asleep. Naruto, meanwhile, got out of bed and ran to the door, which someone was persistently knocking on. Opening the door, Naruto saw his mother. "Mother," Naruto said cheerfully. "Hello, son," she answered and asked, "How did you sleep?" "Seems to be okay." The boy answered. "Why, like?" "It's just that when you left, I went down to the subconscious and started talking to Kurama." Naruto again recounted what happened there. "But I completely forgot that I sealed a piece of my chakra into you," said Kushina, "so now the cage is open?" "Now she's completely gone," Naruto answered, and seeing the surprised face, he touched Kushi's forehead and together they fell into Naruto's subconscious. "Hello, little Kushi," said the awakened Kurama. Hello," Kushina said in a slightly trembling voice, "how are you here?" "Fine." "Kushina, can you pass on your knowledge of the last 4 years to Naruto?" asked the fox. "Yes, but why?" she asked in response. "It'll just help Naruto develop much faster," Kurama answered and looked at Naruto. "Why do I need my mother's knowledge for the last 4 years? Isn't the knowledge that has already been passed on to me enough?" Naruto asked. "You're right kid, this should be enough, but you will learn your father's technique, Hiraishin, and for this, you need to know as much as possible about this technique," Kurama replied. "Okay, you're right," Naruto said. "Kushina, after you transfer Naruto's memories, he will pass out for an indefinite period. Can you watch him at this time?" asked Ku. "Who do you take me for?" "Of course I will keep an eye on my son." Kushi said indignantly. Okay, sorry. Kurama said to Kushina, that's it, go. Thank you, Ku. Naruto answered him. When they left the subconscious, Kushina asked. Naruto, do you want to eat? No, Naruto said and immediately blushed because his stomach growled, to which Kushi just laughed. Huh, Naruto, what do you have to eat? Kushina asked again. Well, I have ramen. The boy answered. We won't eat this crap, said the bloody habanero and continued, I'll go to the store now and buy some food. Don't be bored, I'll be there in about 10 minutes. Okay, mommy. Naruto answered. After 10 minutes. Kushina returned quite quickly. When Naruto opened the door, he was very surprised. His mother was standing on the threshold and she had 2 large bags of groceries in her hands. Mom, why so much? Naruto asked. Son, you are a growing organism, you need to eat a lot. Kushi answered him. Naruto wanted to say something else, but when he saw his mother's murderous look, he changed his mind. Half an hour later, there was a lot of food on the table. Naruto, seeing all the food, lit up. He looked at his mother, to which she laughed and said. Naruto, you can eat whatever you want. After 20 minutes, there was almost nothing left on the table, and Naruto had a round belly. Okay, I think it's time. Kushi said. Yes. Naruto agreed. Naruto lay down on the bed, and Kushina began to make seals, and after 20 to 25 hand seals, she placed her middle and index fingers on Naruto's forehead. After 3 seconds, Naruto passed out. Naruto woke up about an hour later and saw this picture. His mother was lying next to him, stroking and admiring him. Have you woken up yet? Naruto's mother asked. Yeah, thanks mom. Naruto answered. So, they sat until the evening and like yesterday she went home, and Naruto went down into the subconscious. Kurama. Naruto drawled. Hi baby. Kurama said, turning into a guy who looked 15 years old. Wow, can you do that? Naruto asked, once again surprised. Yeah, do you like it? Well, you're cute. Okay, follow me, you can help. Said the boy and headed towards the house. Okay, how can I help you? Ku asked in response. Well, I want to sort all the memories, otherwise my head is a mess right now. Naruto answered. Okay, let's go. Entering the house, and later into one of the rooms, they saw a lot of scrolls. Naruto focused again and many cabinets with shelves appeared in the room. 3 hours later, they finished sorting and both collapsed onto the huge bed in the other room. Thank you, Ku. Without you I would have been doing this for much longer. Naruto said. My pleasure. By the way, tomorrow we will start your training. Kurama said. Fine. Naruto answered and they both fell asleep. Naruto's POV. In the morning, I woke up from Kurama's loud screams to my entire subconscious. Let's get up. Let's start training and self-development. Ah. Kurama. Why so early? I shouted back, covering my ears. Firstly, it is useful, secondly, it is effective and thirdly, the earlier you get up, the more you can learn. And by the way, I warned you yesterday, didn't I? Fox continued shouting. Okay, I'm getting up. I answered him, getting out of bed and wiping my eyes. Okay, now go eat something. Not ramen. Kurama shouted at the end. Okay. Coming out of my subconscious, I put the food on to warm up and went to the bathroom to do some water treatments. When I finished with the procedures, I sat down at the table and ate. After that, Kurama said to sit in a meditation pose and go into the subconscious. That's exactly what I did. Make yourself a table and chair. Ku commanded. I did so, to which he said to sit down at the table and listen to him carefully. Fine. As you already know, chakra is spiritual energy, a component that is essential for performing most basic techniques. Through various methods, the most common of which are hand seals, chakra can be controlled and manipulated to create some superhuman effect that would otherwise be impossible to achieve without these methods, the fox began. Perhaps we'll start with yours. GPP, General Physical Fitness. But for now, listen, there are two sources, yin and yang. There are many more rooms in your house, one of which leads exactly to the origins. I haven't let you in there yet and I won't let you in. The room is divided into two parts, one red is the yang half and the second blue is the yin half. And in the center hangs a ball of energy, this is your source of chakra, someday it will shimmer with all the colors of the rainbow. On the yin side it is intan, and on the yang side it is yangtan. In general, if you describe this room in one word, then, city. A huge city of two colors, divided in half, with the sun in the middle. This will be the closest description. For now, you have ruins there, but sooner or later, there will be a whole city there. One could see genuine interest in my eyes. When we have sufficiently developed both chakra properties, we can begin Inutan. To put it simply, this is the path to immortality. Any questions? I nodded and asked, when we have sufficiently developed both chakra properties, we can begin Inutan. To put it simply, this is the path to immortality. Any questions? I nodded and asked, when we have sufficiently developed both chakra properties, we can begin Inutan. To put it simply, this is the path to immortality. Any questions? I nodded and asked. Will Mom be able to study these properties? I've been waiting for this question. I guess, yes. She has already partially mastered these properties, because to use Biju chains, these are the properties that are needed. Kurama answered and continued, okay, let's go, I'll show you other rooms. I quietly followed him. We entered one of the rooms. You've been here before, this is the room of your memories and knowledge. We moved on and entered another room. It was endless in appearance. Here's what we saw in it. There was a small stone the size of a fist lying on the floor, a small stream of water was flowing from the ground, a small light was barely burning nearby, a pleasant breeze was blowing in the face, and a very small lightning was striking from above. This is the room of the elements. Here we will develop 5 main elements. Kurama told me. Listen, Ku, can you start developing with lightning and wind? I asked. Of course, baby. But why? He answered me. It's just, as you said, we will study Hiration, and in studying it, Raitan will help a lot, and also, I want to learn the cover of lightning like the Reikage. Well, I just like Futon. I answered him. Okay, baby. Now, get out of the subconscious and meditate imagining a light in your stomach, it should help. Ku commanded. Eat. I shouted in a joking manner and left the subconscious. I sat down and began to meditate. After 15 minutes, I felt the chakra and shouted out to my entire subconscious that I succeeded. What, already? Kurama shouted back, okay, try to circulate chakra throughout your body. He added. Fine. I answered him. After a couple of hours of channel development, there was a knock on my door. I immediately realized who it was and opened it. I was right, my mother was standing on the threshold and she had 2 more bags of groceries in her hands. Mom, I already said that this is too much. I grumbled. And I already said that you are a growing organism and you need to eat more. She answered me in the same manner, okay, let's go cook. We went to the kitchen and in half an hour we prepared a delicious lunch. After eating, I began to say. Mom, don't be scared now. Okay. Mom answered me, a little wary. I lifted my t-shirt and scrolled the seal on my stomach, after which light orange chakra began to flow out of it. After 10 seconds, a boy about 15 years old stood in front of us. Hello, Kushina. Kurama said to his mother. Hello, Kurama. How did you do that? Mom asked. Don't know. I decided to try and as you can see, I succeeded. I said in response. Listen, Kushina, why am I here? In general, I want you to put up the same barrier as at the apartment, at the training ground. This is necessary so that no one sees how the baby trains. Kurama said, taking a plate of food, sitting down at the table and starting to eat. It can be done. Mom said with a thoughtful look. Okay. Then, now I'll eat and go to the training ground. Kurama said. After 10 minutes, Fox's plate was empty. He washed his hands and began to pour back into the seal. My mother and I put on a henge and went to the training ground. As I explained to my mother, why set up a henge? It won't be very good if the wife of the village ruler is seen next to the demon of the same village. When we arrived at the training ground, Mom folded the seals and put up a very powerful barrier. Speaking of the landfill, it looks like this: huge beautiful clearing with green grass, many dense trees and a small lake. Kurama came out of the seal and told me what to do, and he and his mother went to the tree. Mom sat in a meditation pose, and Kurama explained to Mom what he explained to me at home. At this time I started general physical training. Kurama told me to run 10 laps around the training ground. When I finished, Ku gave me the following instructions: 20 push-ups, 30 squats, and 60 abs. Oddly enough, I completed everything, although the exercises on my legs were much easier. As Ku explained to me, this is due to the fact that I often ran away from villagers and shinobi, and my legs are stronger than my arms. When I finished, Kurama said to sit down and disperse the chakra through the channels. An hour later, Kurama came up to me, sat down next to me and began to say, "Baby, do you know how to improve chakra control? I read in a book that to do this you need to learn to walk on trees." I answered him, "You're right, this is the first stage of control training. After you learn to walk on trees, you will learn to walk on water. And now, watch how I do it and try it yourself." Kurama told me and walked along the tree without hands. I was surprised at first, but then I ran up to the tree and started trying. I placed my foot on the tree and began to gradually pour chakra into it. I take a step and fall. I don't get upset and try again. I pour in chakra and start walking along the tree, take 3 steps and jump off. I see the surprised faces of my mother and Kurama. I smile, turn to the tree and begin to walk along it. I walked to the middle and jumped off again. After 10 minutes, I still managed to reach the top of the tree. I get down from the tree and see this picture. Mom and Kurama are looking at me, their jaws are somewhere in the land of waves, their eyes are 5 kopecks each and they themselves are looking at me in surprise. "Why are you frozen?" I ask, smiling widely, to which both return to their normal appearance and Kurama said, "Baby, you really are a genius," to which my mother only nodded in agreement. "Okay, follow me." We reached the lake and Kurama walked on the water. "Now you," Ku said and added, "try it. Eat." I walked over to the water and placed 1 foot above the water and began to pour chakra into it. I try to put my foot down and it falls due to the slightest vibration of the water. I conclude that you should always control the flow of chakra into your leg. I again direct the chakra into my leg and start walking, take a couple of steps and fall completely under the water. After 8 minutes of trial and error, I finally walked on the water, turned around and again watched surprised looks, to which I only smiled again. Kurama comes to me and says, "Let's go, let's fight on the water." "But why?" I ask and hear in response, "This will improve your control even more." After 15 minutes, I stood there breathing heavily, and Kurama couldn't help but give a. One leg falls through and Ku asks, "Maybe that's enough?" "Not yet." I shout back and start running towards him. After taking a few steps, I fall under the water and begin to rapidly sink, but Kurama manages to grab me by the t-shirt at the end and pulls me to the shore. "Baby, you did great, rest." The last thing I heard before falling asleep. The next morning, I woke up with a terrible headache. As it turned out later, this was the result of my voyages. Kurama told me to sit down and circulate chakra while he healed me. An hour later, as Ku said, the headache disappeared, in principle, as did the sore throat. Also, my mother came into the room, which surprised me quite a bit. "Have you woken up yet?" she asked me. "Yeah. Hour ago." "Kurama healed?" I answered. "It's clear." "Okay, go eat." In the kitchen. "Mom, what are you doing here?" I asked. "Last night, I came to your house and brought you. I sent a clone home so I could keep an eye on you here until you come to your senses," Mom said to me, putting food on plates. "Thank you, Mommy. Thank you for following me like last time, for finding me, for existing," I said, starting to cry and hugging my mother. "Well, what are you doing, son? Do not cry. Aren't all mothers supposed to care for their children? Mom asked, hugging me back. Yes, you're right, but all this is not typical for me. I was always alone and such care for me. I really appreciate it, I said, wiping my tears. After we ate, we went to the training ground, not forgetting to apply the henge. Having arrived there, Mom and Kurama again went to develop Inton and Yenton, and Kurama told me to do a set of exercises like yesterday, then rest and do it again. I completed the complex and there was still quite a lot of energy left. After resting for 10 minutes, I repeated the complex, after which I fell exhausted. After resting for another 10 minutes, I sat in a meditation pose in order to disperse the chakra through the channels. Baby, now I will teach you one technique. She will help you in your studies. It's called shadow cloning. I will immediately explain all the pros and cons of this technique. Pros: when the clones dispel, they transfer to you all the experience and information they have accumulated. Cons: they also transfer their fatigue to you, which can cause you to lose consciousness. Also, I repeat, the clones pass on information to you, which can be both a plus and a minus, because if you get too much information, you can pass out, which, in principle, happened to you when knowledge was transferred to you. The third old man and Kushina told me. Kurama continued, in general, watch and repeat after me. Kurama formed the tiger seal and a copy of him appeared next to him. I stood up and made the same seal, after which 15 of my doubles appeared near me. Well done, baby, once again I'm surprised looking at you. And I think Kushina too. Kurama said, to which my mother just smiled and said, I'm already tired of being surprised. After this, Kurama divided the doubles into groups of 5 clones. He sent the first group into the water to fight each other, giving them one of his clones. The second group, he sent to general physical training, and the third group, he sent to develop a chakra focus. I myself joined the third group. At the end of the day, Ku said to dispel the clones, but before that, get ready, because there will be a colossal amount of experience, information and fatigue. I prepared myself and dispelled the clones, after which I fell to one knee and began to breathe heavily. After sitting for about 10 minutes, we applied henge and went to my house. When we arrived, we ate, after which my mother went home, and I went to the bathroom and went to bed. As soon as I closed my eyes, I found myself near a huge bed on which Kurama lay in the form of a fox. Kurama, I'm surprised that you fit on the bed in your real form, I said. Yo, baby. To be honest, me too, said the fox, and then continued, I talked to Kushina and from tomorrow, you will wear weights. I see. I understand why, but how many kilograms will it be? I asked thoughtfully. -5 kilograms, on each arm and leg. Lise answered me. Do you think I can stand it? I asked, with the same face. Baby, 20 kilograms is not much, you can handle it. Okay, I said and added, good night Ku. To which I heard. Calm down, baby. And we both fell asleep with smiles on our faces. In the morning, I woke up, did water procedures, ate and sat down to disperse the chakra, after which I descended into the subconscious. Morning, Kurama, did you call? Yeah, Kushina will come in about an hour, the fox began. Do you remember yesterday we talked about weights? I nod. So, besides this, we talked about Fuinjutsu. Your clan had a special talent for these techniques. That is why you will study them, and to make it easier for you, I will give you my memories and memories. The fox sees my surprised look and continues, since I sat in 2 Uzumaki women before you, and they were masters of Fuin, then my memories will give you good experience. Interesting. I've read about Fuin, very powerful techniques, so I'll be happy to learn them. I answered. Still a baby, I'll tell you this, you have more potential than Mito had in her time. He told me, to which I was surprised and happy at the same time. Wow! I exclaimed, when do we start? Added. Now let's wait until Kushina comes and then I will give you my memories. Kurama replied. In general, we talked for an hour, after which my mother came and again brought a lot of food. Mama. Son, don't argue. Mom said and went to the kitchen. Okay. I sang and trudged after my mother. We prepared breakfast, ate, I scrolled through the seal, after which Ku appeared next to me. I lay down on the bed, before putting on weights, and Kurama made 30 to 35 seals, the more memories, the more seals, and touched me with his middle and index claws. I fell asleep almost immediately. I woke up, as it turned out, at 4 o'clock in the morning. My mother was sleeping next to me, hugging me. I carefully, so as not to wake up my mother, got out from under her arm and went to the kitchen to drink water. In general, I was no longer destined to fall asleep. At 7 a.m., my mother woke up and I called her to have breakfast. On the table there were 2 plates of scrambled eggs with bacon, a packet of yogurt and a salad. We ate and my mother said that I have talent here too. After that, we went to the training ground. Everything was as usual there. Mom and Kurama are developing Inton and Yenton, and I create clones and do training like the day before yesterday. In the evening, Mom sent the clone home, and we stayed to train Fuin. An hour later, I was already able to seal items. Also, I was able to seal a piece of my chakra into a scroll. Mom and Ku again started their song about genius, and Mom added that it took her more than a week to study what I studied. I just smiled and scratched the back of my head stupidly. In general, after practicing a little more, we went to my house, ate, I sat a little more and made prints. For a successful technique, you need the hieroglyph to be as even as possible, otherwise you can print something that you don't need now or damage the item, and we went to bed. The morning was not standard. Although, can it be called such? Lately, I often wake up with my mother in my apartment. Although, most likely, this morning is the most unusual, if in the past days, when I woke up, I went to eat according to my mother's orders, then today, like yesterday, I woke up in an embrace with my mother. I gently woke her up and we performed water procedures, after which we prepared food, ate, and my mother told me her plan. Naruto, today I want to tell Minato what I know about you. Isn't it early? I asked in response. Nope. If I tell you, it's better now, or rather as soon as possible, because if he takes into account what I know about you, then I don't have to send a clone home and remove the mask of depression. Mom said. Yes, you're right, but I can't let you go alone. Kurama and I will put seals on you so that we can transfer our chakra to you. I said. But why? Mom asked, looking at me in surprise. We don't know how much of a coward he is, so protection in case of an attempt to erase his memory won't hurt. Do you think he'll go that far? Mom asked. Who knows? I answered and put several seals on my mother, so that if one was found, would use the other. By the way, we placed the seals in such a way that it will be extremely difficult to find them. I sat in a meditation pose and focused on the seals that are on my mother, and my mother went to the residence. Kushina's POV. Half an hour later, I arrived at the residence and entered by knocking. Minato sat in the office looking tired. Oh, honey, hello. He said cheerfully. Well, hello, coward. I said with contempt. What? What are you doing? He asked me. And when were you going to tell me that my son is alive? I asked, looking at him with a withering gaze. What? But how do you know? He said, clearly nervous. End Kushina's POV. View from the side. The Hokage walked up to his wife and with a lightning-fast movement knocked out Kushina. As she fell, Minato caught her and laid her on the sofa. Dog, an ANBU man in a dog mask appeared in front of him. Call Inoichi to me. Hi. The ANBU man shouted and disappeared. After 20 minutes, a tall blonde man with a long ponytail reaching to the middle of his back knocked on the door and entered. Hello, Minato. Why did you call? Asked the newcomer. Hello, Inoichi. I have business with you, the Hokage said, stood up and went to the door, putting up a rather powerful barrier. I want you to erase Kushina's memory of Naruto. He continued. So she finally found out, Inoichi said with a thoughtful face and continued, okay, but you're charged 20 million ryo. Minato wanted to object, but after thinking about it, he agreed. Inoichi walked up to Kushina and touched her forehead, entering her subconscious. He began to look for memories of Naruto and when he found them, he was about to seal them, but then a powerful kick landed in his face. Inoichi turned to the one who hit him. There, He saw a small boy of about 5 years old, and next to him stood a short guy, about 15 years old. The younger one asked, "Well, does it hurt?" Naruto asked, grinning maliciously. Naruto and Kurama ran at the man and began beating him. When they finished, Naruto created a kunai and cut Inoichi's shoulder, after which he threw him out of his subconscious. After this, Inoichi entered the real world and felt terrible pain. He looked at his shoulder and saw a cut. "Well?" Minato asked, waiting. "Wait a bit." Inoichi said and again touched Kushina's forehead, after which he entered her subconscious. "Wasn't enough for you?" the guys asked in one voice. They ran towards the man and began beating the man again. This time, Naruto became generous and pierced the man's hand with a kunai, and again threw him out. At that moment, Kushina woke up and asked, "That does not work?" After which, she folded her arms over her chest. "No. I can." The man said and for the third time, touched Kushina's forehead. "Life doesn't teach you anything," Naruto said and continued, "By the way, I think you've already noticed, but I'll still say, all the wounds you get here, you get in the real world, so you won't be able to leave the office." Naruto said and instantly found himself near the man, pierced his feet with kunai and again threw him out of his subconscious. Coming out of his subconscious, Inoichi fell to his knees in pain as Kushina said, "I see Naruto beat you well," she said, after which she turned to Minato and said, "I didn't think you were such a coward," and going up to him, she hit him with her palm. After that, she walked to the door and, breaking the barrier before leaving, said, "Minato, I'm filing for divorce." Mom came half an hour later without her things, to which I was surprised, but then I remembered about the ceiling and hugged my mother. "Son, what are you doing?" Mom asked, sitting down in front of me. "Nothing, just. I'm sorry. Because of me, your family fell apart." Naruto, it fell apart on that day, October 10th. We hardly communicated, I sat in the room and almost never left it. Mom began, "In general, you are my only family." Mom said, smiling tenderly, we both started crying. "Son, tomorrow I will take the divorce papers and buy some house so that we can live together without interfering with each other." "Fine," I said and buried my face in my mother's shoulder. Indeed, a new house is simply necessary. The apartment was simply terrible. If in summer, spring and autumn it was still possible, somehow, but to survive, then in winter, I wore all the warmest clothes, namely, a light windbreaker and breeches that were just below my knees. I wrapped myself in a blanket, if you could call it that, a small piece of insulated fabric that barely covered me completely. Overall, I survived only because Kurama gave me a little of his chakra so that I wouldn't die from the cold. We prepared lunch, ate and went to the training ground. At the training ground, I again fought with Kurama and again on the water. Well, there is a result. I held out for 40 minutes and almost hit Kurama a couple of times, for which he praised me. "Baby, we will conduct such sparring sessions once a week," Kurama told me. "Okay, Ku," I answered. About my progress during this week of training, I learned to walk on trees and water, learned shadow cloning, and the weight of the weights increased from 20 kilograms to 27. In general, my mother tried, she put fuel on the weights, which is why the weight automatically increases when my body is ready for this load. In fuel I also made a little progress, namely, I learned how to seal techniques by sealing several clones in different scrolls. In Tai, I can compete with a very weak genin. In terms of speed I again weak genin wearing weights and average genin without weights. That seems to be all. If you ask how I almost hit Kurama, then I will answer, Kurama fights without using even 50% of his strength and simply dodges, and at this time I squeeze the maximum out of myself. Mom also advanced in mastering Inton and Yenton. If at first she owned 20% of both, now she owns 35% of both. By the way, the number of chains has also increased. There were 9 chains, now there are 11 chains. In the evening, we went home. After eating, we began to get ready for bed. "Son, tomorrow morning start sealing your things." Mom raised her voice. "Okay, good night mommy." "Calm down, son." "Good night, Ku," I said mentally. "Calm down, baby." Little Fox answered me. In the morning, we woke up as usual, washed, ate and went to the training ground. At 10 in the morning, my mother said that she would go with the documents to the Hokage, and she told me to go home and seal my things, although I almost didn't have them, which is what I said, to which my mother replied, "Nothing, we'll fix it. We'll buy you whatever you want." "Mom, where did you get so much money?" I finally dared to ask. "Son, I'm the head of the Uzumaki clan, of course I have a lot of money." Mom answered, smiling and patting me on the head. She went into the residence. I trudged home. Along the way, Kurama spoke. "Listen, kid, I have almost completely developed your Raiton and Futon, so we can start studying the techniques of these elements." "Hooray! Finally!" exclaimed in the subconscious. Meanwhile Kushina. "Hello, Hokage-sama," I said and heard in response. "Hello, Kushina-san." I just grinned contentedly. "Hokage-sama, here are the divorce documents, please sign them, and also, I want to buy a house, preferably a two-room one, and have its own training ground," I said, going up to the table and putting a folder with documents on them. "Okay," he said forcefully and shouted, "I'll take Kushina-san to that house." "Yes, Hokage-sama," said the Anbu man wearing an owl mask and continued, "Kushina-san, follow me." After 10 minutes, we came to a medium-sized house and I went inside to inspect everything. As I thought, I found many different seals, ranging from the listening seal to Minato's Hiration mark. At this moment, I was surprised. "How arrogant are you?" I thought, and broke all the seals, taking into account the seal of PLBG, Flight of the Flying Thunder God. I walked around a little more, after which I went to the Hokage and bought the house for 1 million ryo. By the way, the training ground behind the house was quite large. It had everything you needed for training, starting with wooden poles in the center and ending with a lake on the outskirts of the training ground. Meanwhile Naruto. "So I need to design and draw my own Hiration mark?" I asked, sitting next to Ku with a thoughtful face. "Exactly, it can be any hieroglyph you want," he answered me. "Okay, then it will be the hieroglyph, literally, blade or blade." Interesting, interesting. "Why the blade?" he asked me. "I don't know, I just like it." "Okay Ku, I'll go and draw a hieroglyph," I said and left the subconscious. I took some sheets of paper and drew a medium-sized character. After 10 minutes my mother came with a happy face. "Well?" I asked, looking at my mother. "Now I'm officially single and now we live in a new house, so get ready, we're moving," Mom said, almost shouting the last words with joy. "I'm happy for us and especially for you," I said and hugged my mother, to which she responded. "Son, are you ready? We're moving out," Mom said. "Of course I'm ready," I exclaimed, and we left the apartment. After saying goodbye to her, we went to our new home. Arriving there 10 minutes later, we entered and I immediately began to look around. When I got to the training ground, I was amazed by its size. It was twice as large as our last training ground. Mom immediately put up powerful barriers, after which we ate and went to bed. In the morning, we woke up and did everything according to tradition. We still slept together, because we didn't want to be separated. At the training ground, Mom and Ku left as usual, Inton and Yenton, and I stuck marks on the kunai and poured a little chakra into each of the kunai. This is necessary so that I can feel each of them and teleport to my chakra. It turned out to be only 18 kunai. Kurama said to place the kunai in a row, one 10 centimeters from you, the second 50 centimeters from you, the third a meter from you, and so on. I sat in a meditation position and began to focus on the kunai, which was 10 centimeters away. After 2 hours of concentrating and collecting chakra at one point, I still managed to move to this kunai. "Eat!" I exclaimed. "Well done, baby," Kurama said joyfully. "Now train, teleport to this kunai automatically," Kurama said and returned to his mother. After another 1 hour, I was able to automatically move to the kunai 10 centimeters away. Next, I started trying to teleport to the kunai 50 centimeters away. This time, I did it in 10 minutes, since I already understood the principle. After another half an hour, I was able to automatically move 50 centimeters, but I was almost out of chakra. After moving one more time, I passed out. I woke up at 8 a.m. and got up and went to the kitchen. There, my mother was already sitting and waiting for me. "Good morning," I mumbled. "Good, son," the answer, "wash yourself and sit down to eat." "Fine." After eating, we went to the training ground again and, as usual, Mom and this rug went to the tree. "Hey. Who are you calling a rug?" asked Ku. "You, who else?" I answered him. "And why would that be?" he asked in response. "You're sick of it. You spend all your time with your mom, but you spend 2 minutes a day with me," I said, starting to get angry. Okay, don't be angry. I think he asked me to help your mother develop her properties," Kurama said. "Yes. But I didn't ask you to always sit with her and not devote time to me. I'm on my way already." "Ku, where are you going?" Mom asked, noticing that Kurama stood up. "I'll go and help the baby, otherwise he's going berserk." "Clear." Approaching me, Kurama began to give advice. "Firstly, stand up and place the kunai around you, at the maximum distance, and teleport to them in a chaotic manner. Secondly, pour more chakra into the clone technique in order to create more clones accordingly. Third, pour lightning chakra into the kunai, it should help." "Thank you," I said, smiling contentedly. After that, Kurama distributed the clones into groups and went with one of the groups to the water and began to help and give advice to the clones. Meanwhile, as Ku said, I poured lightning chakra into the kunai and began to quickly and chaotically teleport. After 5 minutes of such jumping, I fell to my knees from chakra exhaustion. My mother came up to me and poured some chakra. After which I immediately felt better and I stood up and tried to move as far as I could. The result surprised everyone, and especially me. I was able to teleport 55 meters. With a joyful smile, I sat down under a tree and began to circulate chakra, restoring it. By evening, almost all of my chakra had been restored and I again tried the exhausting training with kunai. After 2 minutes, I was kneeling near one of the kunai and breathing heavily. I rested a little and we went into the house, ate, I went to the bathroom and went to bed, after which I immediately fell asleep. I woke up in a great mood. The technique is mastered very quickly. Next to you is your beloved mother and even better friends, Mother and Kurama. At the training ground, I poured more chakra into the cloning technique than usual and it turned out that I created 100 clones. Kurama was immediately surprised, but then got scared and ran up to me and began to quickly say, "Baby, don't send all the clones to train. I'm afraid that if you do this, when you dispel it, you might die." Here, you could already see my frightened face. I swallowed and said, "Okay, so I need to send some of the clones to rest?" "Exactly. And it's better to send half of the clones to rest. Thanks to this, when you get tired, you can dispel some of the clones and the fatigue will be replenished," Kurama said. I nodded and sent 50 clones to sleep or just rest. I myself did a warm-up and tried what I wanted to do yesterday. I moved to the maximum distance. It wasn't much, but it was enough. I moved 8 meters. I decided to sit down and move chakra through my body a little, because I had spent quite a lot of chakra creating clones. An hour later, I replenished all my chakra and stood up, placing all the kunai at the maximum distance. After carrying out this exhausting training, I dispersed 10 clones, who were sleeping and no longer felt tired. This time, I decided to move not to the maximum distance, but to 5 meters. Having placed the kunai, I began to teleport towards them. The result is better than I expected. When I teleported to 8 meters, I got tired very quickly, literally in 2 to 3 minutes, then at a distance of 5 meters, I was able to move for 10 minutes. Having dispelled another 10 clones, I again conducted training with the Harem, and this time, I decided not to dispel any more clones, otherwise in the evening I need to dispel 50 clones. In general, I sat down and began to circulate chakra, thereby restoring it. By evening, I had restored almost all of my chakra and decided to try to move to the farthest distance. The result again exceeded all my expectations. I moved 15 meters. I got ready and dispelled all the clones I had created earlier. As Kurama had said, there was almost no fatigue. We ate and went to bed. I spent another week in such training and here is my progress for this week. I increased chakra control to the level of an average Junin. after all, sparring clones on water gives their results. I also increased the level of taijutsu. I can defeat any average genin. I increased the weight of the weights to 32 kilograms. The maximum clones I can create is 115 clones. But when I dispel them I will fall unconscious. The range of the PBG has increased by 34 meters. This week, I decided to wait a little with the PBG. Speed with weights is somewhere at the level of an average genin, and without weights, somewhere at the level of a weak chunin. If I use my entire arsenal without ku, I will be able to kill an average chunin somewhere. After all, Harem decides. Baby, from today, your clones will spar against mine, and not against each other. After all, Tai's level needs to be raised. Said Ku. Fine. I said, and Kurama looked at me and continued. Also, if you want, you can find one shinobi, he is Master Tai. I think everyone already understands who I mean, his name, Might Guy. I think he won't refuse you, he loves children very much. Mom added, after Kurama's words. Okay, I'll look for him and ask him to become a student. I said, beaming with joy. I decided to continue mastering the Harem and, having scattered kunai throughout the training ground, began to move towards them as quickly as possible. After 15 minutes, I began to breathe heavily. After another 15 minutes, my speed noticeably decreased, and after 5 minutes, I fell, unable to move. Immediately starting to restore my chakra, I lay there for 10 minutes, after which I sat under a tree, continuing to restore. After a few hours, all the chakra was restored. Speaking of chakra, Kurama said that I already have almost as much of it as my mother, or 20% of Kurama's chakra. I stood up and started placing the kunai 5 meters apart, and then I moved 30 meters away from the first kunai and moved as far as I could, and it turned out to be 45 meters, but I decided to try something else between the kunai, which stands at 45 meters from me, and a kunai that stands 50 meters away. I ate, went to bed and went down into the subconscious thinking, how can I still use the lightning cover? I thought and decided, tried it and, strangely enough, it worked. Yes, this cover is very weak and will not last 5 minutes, but still, I succeeded the first time. What did I do to use the cover? It's simple, I concentrated the lightning chakra at one point and after that, distributed the same chakra throughout my body. Yes. I have become much faster. I'll try to do something. I walked up to Kurama and passed lightning chakra through his body. Ha ha ha. I started laughing, watching Kurama convulse. Oh, you little bastard, said the awakened fox and began to chase me, but could not catch up, because I was covered by lightning. I started to run away, but a minute later I fell, starting to breathe heavily, and the cover quickly fell off. Kurama caught up with me, slapped me on the head and picked me up, carried me and laid me on the bed, after which I immediately passed out. The next morning, when I woke up, I thought about improving my techniques. Mom noticed this. Good morning, son, what are you thinking about? She asked. Morning. Yes, I'm thinking about how to improve the technique, I said while eating breakfast. And what techniques do you want to improve? Shadow cloning, Harem, and yesterday I studied the cover of lightning, I said, after which I continued, I know how to improve the Harem and the cover of lightning. For this, I need to learn as many lightning elemental techniques as possible, but that's the point. The catch, although I have the knowledge of the old man third, he almost didn't know the techniques of this element, since he did it the worst, and I don't have scrolls with Raiden's techniques and I don't know where to get them. Well, I think I can get you a couple of scrolls with techniques, but what rank do you need? Mom asked, looking at me. I noticeably cheered up and said, well, for now, lower rank techniques, for example, D, C, and B. Okay, I'll bring them to you by lunch. Mom said. Thank you, I exclaimed and ran to the training ground with a joyful smile. At the training ground, I released Kurama from the seal. In general, I suggested to him not to sit in print at all, but as he said, in your subconscious, the bed is much softer. In general, lazy. I created clones, to which Kurama also created clones and distributed his and mine into groups. He created his clones so that they would help mine. At this time, I continued to train Harem, but with one condition, I used the lightning cover in order to train him, and also to improve his mastery of lightning chakra. Just like my mother said, she came to dinner and printed out 20 scrolls with techniques, to which my jaw dropped to the ground in surprise. I took the scrolls and sat down to study them. An hour later, I learned the following D rank techniques: lightning jump, lightning strikes, lightning beam, and so on; C rank, electric field, thunder tree, and so on; and B rank, false darkness, tracking Fong of the lightning beast, a scroll with this technique, Kushina begged from Kakashi, and so on. After that, I tried using the cover and lasted 5 minutes without straining too much and was much faster than before. I also used Hiration and moved 63 meters. After that, I started thinking about how I could improve Shadow Clone, and 2 ideas came to me: the first, reduce chakra consumption to a minimum. And the second, on the contrary, pour in more chakra so that the clone is not dispelled with one blow. I spent half an hour trying to implement my ideas. Yes, a clone that doesn't dispel in one hit is really cool. Kurama even said that, at least with a stretch, my technique could be given an A rank. It was already evening and I again dispelled the clones and fell unconscious, because I was very tired during the day. For those who have any questions about the scrolls, Kushi did not sleep with anyone, she simply smiled sweetly and released her killer Ki. As Ku suggested to me, I decided to start searching for Guy. I ran out of the house and started running to look for this shinobi. As I was running past one alley, someone kicked me and I flew straight into a trash can in this alley. 3 shinobi of at least Chunin rank began to enter the alley. I was about to start running away when 2 people appeared in front of me. One was wearing a vest, which means he was no lower than a Chunin, but when I saw those 3 running away, I realized, no lower than a Junin. Judging by his ashen and physics-defying hair, I realized who it was: Kakashi Hatake. The second one was dressed all in green, his hair was like a bowl, and when he turned to me, I saw fat eyebrows. I stood up, dusted myself off, bowed and said, "Hello and thank you very much for your help." "Hello. What is your name?" asked the ash-haired one. "Hello. The power of youth simply flows through us," shouted the green one. "I'm Uzumaki Naruto. Where are you running to?" Hatake asked. "I'm looking for one person, his name is Might Guy. You don't know where you can find it?" I asked, looking at my saviors. They looked at each other and the green one said, "Why are you looking for me?" "I want to ask to become your student," I said, bowing again. "Clear. Let's go to the training ground and see what you can do," Guy shouted. When we reached the training ground, I created several clones so that they would lead the ANBU watching me away. Arriving at the training ground, I started warming up. Having finished it, I created 20 clones and took a fighting stance. Green and Kakashi also got ready. The clones and I started throwing kunai and shuriken, and quite accurately. Kurama taught me this too, and perhaps it was the simplest of what we taught. The couple began to dodge, but this was their mistake. I quietly cut into the cover of lightning and moved behind their backs on a kunai, after which I hit both of them on the kneecaps, causing them to fall to their knees and could not move, because my lightning was paralyzing. When the paralysis passed, they stood up, turned to me and said, "You are very strong for your age and we both want to take you on as students." "Hooray!" I exclaimed, and Kakashi asked, "What kind of technique was that made you move behind us? Don't tell me it was PBG?" "Exactly, Kakashi-sensei, that's what he was." "But how do you know this technique?" both asked in surprise. "Yes, you've heard about the deceased son of the fourth?" I asked. "Yes, why?" they asked in response. "So, I am the same son whom everyone considers dead. My poor father was afraid that Kyubi might break out and put me in an orphanage, and told everyone, including my mother, that I was dead." I told my story. "So you are the same son of the fourth Hokage?" they asked again in unison. "Exactly. If you don't believe me, you can ask my mom," I answered. "Okay, come to this training ground tomorrow at 10 a.m. said Guy. "Good, thank you," I said, bowing again. After that, we said goodbye and went our separate ways. By the way, I asked them not to talk about my abilities to the Hokage, to which they agreed. When I got home, I did my daily training to increase the range of the Hirashina. I told my mom everything and she said she was happy for me. The next morning, I created 115 clones, sent 60 to bed, the rest to train, and I conducted training with the Hirashin and dispelled 10 clones. Went to that training ground, because it was already 9:20. Guy had no habit of being late, so at 9:50, he was already at the training ground, but this cannot be said about his friend Kakashi, who simply loves to be late, but he really surprised Guy by arriving only 5 minutes later, because Naruto interested him very much, and a minute later Naruto himself came. "Morning, sensei," I said, smiling widely. "Hello," both said. After that, they asked what I could do and I listed everything that I had learned. They were again very surprised and even through Kakashi's mask, it was visible. Kakashi decided to check what elements I had, and Guy decided to develop my general physical training. Guy told me to create 50 clones and send them with him, which I did. He sent 20 clones to sleep, and subjected the rest to training, like rock in the cannon, but a little softer. Kakashi, meanwhile, gave me 8 chakra sheets, 4 in each hand. I passed chakra through them and one leaf became crumpled, the second leaf was cut, the third leaf became wet, the fourth leaf burned, the fifth rotted and the sixth was covered with bark. I have his mother Makutan. I look at Kakashi and see an even more surprised face than mine. The remaining sheets remained intact. "Oh. I'm surprised you have all 5 elements and Mokutan. With the elements, lightning, earth, water and fire, I will help you, because I have them, but only one person in our village owns the element of wind. I'll talk to him and find Mokutan. I have a friend who owns this genome," said Kakashi-sensei, who had recovered from the shock. "It's okay," I said. All day, we studied different techniques of the elements that Kakashi has and I learned the following fire techniques: C rank, flame shot, fireball, great fireball and so on, B rank, fire dragon, phoenix flowers and so on. By the way, I didn't tell you, but Kurama and I started developing fire and water, so I'm pretty good at them. Water techniques: C rank, water prison, water wave and so on, B rank, water dragon, water wall and so on. From lightning techniques, we began to study Chidori. Lightning shroud has also improved, now I can use it for all 10 minutes, but then I fall exhausted. For Guy, everything is also going great, the clones are lying around exhausted and sweat is flowing from them in a stream. In the evening, when I had already replenished most of my chakra, Guy told me to get ready and dispel the clones. When I dispelled the clones, I felt that I had become much stronger physically and there was almost no fatigue. Arriving home, I scattered the clones who were training at our training ground and, again, there was almost no fatigue. I told my mom and Ku how everything went, and they said that I had good results. We ate and went to bed. Half a year has passed. As always, I woke up, performed water procedures and went to the training ground. But from the very morning I was bothered by the thought that I had forgotten something. I tried to remember, but for some reason nothing came of it. I started training and Kurama spoke to me. "Baby, what date is today? Are you lost in time?" I asked. "No. Just tell me, what date is today?" Ku asked again. "Well, July 9th, what? Use your brains." Ku answered, although he rather growled. I remembered. I shouted. "What did you remember?" Mom asked approaching me. No. It doesn't matter," I said. "Mom's birthday is tomorrow," I said already in my thoughts. "But why is she silent?" I asked. "She, like you, hasn't celebrated her birthday since that day," Ku answered. "What should I give her?" I asked. "Well, I remember, when I was sealed in Kushi, she asked Minato to buy her one necklace, but he refused," said the fox. "I see. Do you remember what it looked like?" I asked. "For these 7 months, I am still being paid an orphan's allowance, because according to the documents, I have no parents and I live in that shack. Mom, of course, solves this issue, but it takes a lot of time. Therefore, I saved up quite a lot of money, namely, 70,000 Rio, I get paid 10,000 Rio every month. Yes, I'll take you there. Go into the house and let me out," said Ku. "Okay. Let's go." I entered the house and released Kurama, after which we put on a henge and went jewelry shopping. We went around all the shops and there was only one left. Of course, we understand that a lot of time has passed and perhaps this necklace is long gone, but as they say, hope dies last. We enter the last store and... yes! There is a necklace. I quickly take it and go to the checkout. At the checkout they told me the price and it turned out to be more than acceptable, 50,000 Rio. Of course, this is almost all my money, but still, I have enough to set the table, and the necklace is too beautiful. I took out the money, paid and quickly went home to hide it. I don't want my mom to find him ahead of time. Speaking of the necklace, it looks like this, a silver chain and a very beautiful red swirl or the sign of our clan. It looks very nice. I ran home, went into my room and hid the necklace under the boards in the floor. That's where I hide all my secrets. Mom has never found one yet, so the place is good. Mom fell asleep very early today, to which I was surprised. After all, it's only 1900 hours, but oh well. I quickly put up my barrier. Over these 6 months, I have made good progress in Fuin. Of course, I am far from a master, but Chunin for Fuin will be given to me calmly, so that my mother would not hear or see what I was doing. After that, I took my money, put on a henge and quickly ran to the store to buy groceries. Having bought everything, I returned home, put all the food on the table and started cooking. During these 6 months, I also learned to cook from my mother. I prepared the cake according to the recipe, but did not try it, because it was intended for my mother. I prepared a few more dishes, after which I hid them so that my mother would not find them. I hid it not under the floor, but on the refrigerator, putting a barrier on them so that the dishes were not visible, there was no smell, so that they did not spoil and remained hot. I cleaned up after myself and went to bed. In the morning, my mother again went to draw up documents on my account. At this time, I set the table, decorated the kitchen, put candles, sent a clone so that he would watch my mother and when she was near the house, unwind and prepared a beautiful gift wrapping. The clone was watching Kushi and she did not do any dirty deeds. 2 hours later, the clone dissipated and I quickly lit the candles. Ku and I were waiting for my mother, and as soon as she came in, we fired firecrackers and began to congratulate my mother on her birthday. Happy birthday! Happy birthday! Mom, seeing all this, began to hug us and thank us for this day. Mom, we have a gift for you, I said, taking Kurama's hand and approaching my mother after we discussed everything. Yes? And which one? Mom asked, wiping away tears. I handed my mother a beautiful box. Mom took the box and, opening it, fell into a stupor. This is, Mom began, but Kurama interrupted her. The same necklace that you asked from Minato. But it's very expensive, Mom said, squeaking at the end. I took the necklace and put it on my mother. On her, it looked simply gorgeous. It shimmered in rhythm with my mother's hair. Yes, and it suits you very well, I said, looking admiringly and added, you have excellent taste. Mom came up to me and hugged me tightly, starting to cry again. I hugged back and also shed a single tear. Mom, blow out the candles and make a wish, I said, breaking away from the hug and approaching the table. Mom blew out the candles, after which we began to eat. Today, we are again convinced that the three of us have the best family. A couple of days after Kushina's birthday, Naruto was walking through the village and talking to Kurama. Passing by one alley, he heard cries for help. Entering there, Naruto saw 9 shinobi, 6 chunin and 3 junin. They surrounded the 2 girls, beat them and stripped them. Naruto ran towards the shinobi without hesitation. 10 minutes later, 5 chunin lay unconscious. Naruto stood breathing heavily and 4 more stood next to him and laughed at him. Naruto was very strong for his age, but it was impossible for him to cope with 9 shinobi at once. What, demon, are you exhausted? One asked and threw a kunai at Naruto. Since Naruto was very tired, he was unable to dodge and the kunai hit him right in the left eye. What, you can't see it so well anymore? So that's not all. The shinobi shouted and all four ran towards Naruto. At that moment, he took a kunai and pulled it out from where the eye used to be. Turning to the girls, he saw that they were sitting and shaking terribly. He smiled as warmly as possible and said, "Don't be afraid. I will definitely protect you, even if it costs me my life." The girls, hearing this, relaxed a little, but were still very afraid for the blonde. The shinobi ran to Naruto and two grabbed him by the arms, and two more, taking his legs, began to cut off the skin with kunai and cut through the kneecaps to the bone. Naruto was in terrible pain and was screaming terribly. Finally, two more shinobi ran up to the loud screams. Naruto would have recognized them immediately if not for the pain in his eyes and legs. It was Kakashi and Guy. Seeing them, the four began to run, but Guy appeared right in front of them and knocked them out. Kakashi at this time approached Naruto and with tears in his eyes, Kakashi and Guy became very attached to Naruto, as did Naruto himself in principle, took him in his arms, told the girls to go home and quickly ran to the hospital. Running to the hospital, Kakashi began calling doctors. The doctors took Naruto and put him in the ward, immediately starting treatment. Kurama also focused all his efforts on healing his wounds. They will heal, but Naruto will not be able to see in his left eye, and he will only be able to walk through pain and so on for several months. At this time, Kakashi created a clone so that he would tell everything to Kushina, while he sat and thought, what to do. He had long wanted to give his eye to Naruto and now was the perfect opportunity. After 5 minutes, a sweaty and out-of-breath Kushina came running. There was nothing on her face but fear and anger. She ran into the room and began to help with the treatment, while crying loudly, "If anything, don't be surprised, Kushina is a medic of rank A and can use many ironing techniques." They finished only after 40 minutes. By this time, Naruto decided to leave his subconscious, because he was quite tired of these lectures from the fox, but Kurama did not let him out of there all this time. Opening his eyes, Naruto saw a tearful Kushi and Kakashi, who had tears streaming down the open part of his face. Kushina immediately began to scold Naruto for getting into such a dangerous fight. Naruto turned to Kakashi, although every movement brought him unbearable pain, and asked, "Kakashi and I-san, what are you thinking about?" "Yes, nothing," Kakashi said, smiling with one eye. After 10 minutes, the doctors came and injected Naruto with sleeping pills so that he would not suffer so much. 4 people immediately entered the room. These were 2 girls who were saved by Naruto, and the other 2 were their fathers. As it turned out, Naruto saved the daughters of the heads of 2 great clans, Sasuke Uchiha, daughter of Fugaku Uchiha, and Ino Yamanaka, daughter of Inoichi Yamanaka. Fugaku, when he saw the baby's condition, immediately offered to transplant him with the eye of one of the Uchihas, who, before his death, gave them to the head of the clan, but Kakashi interrupted him, saying, "No, I will give Naruto my eye, and you will give me the eye that you wanted to give to Naruto." "But why?" asked Fugaku. "Because my eye has a special ability that I cannot use to its fullest due to lack of chakra, and Naruto has more than enough of it," Kakashi replied, lifting the headband and showing his Mangekyo. "Fine. Let's settle this," said Fugaku. The next day, Naruto woke up and was immediately approached by Kakashi, who was sitting on the next bed. "Hello Naruto. How are you feeling?" Kakashi asked and added, "What kind of stupid question am I asking?" "Okay, I wanted to tell you something, while you were sleeping. The fathers of the girls you saved came to you. As it turned out, you saved the daughters of the heads of such clans as the Uchiha and Yamanaka. Naruto had eyes worth 5 kopecks. In general, Fugaku-san wanted to transplant your Sharingan, but I refused, saying that I would give you my eye, and they would transplant another Sharingan to me." "But why?" asked a surprised Naruto. "Because my eye has a special ability. I can use it a couple of times, and then the chakra runs out, but you have chakra a dime a dozen, so you can use it, at least constantly." Kakashi answered and continued, "We have already transplanted my eye into you, so you have a bandage on your eye, it can only be removed in a couple of days." "Fine," Naruto said, calling Kakashi to him and hugging him tightly. Kakashi immediately returned the hug. So, Naruto stayed there for a month. It hurt him not only to walk, but he couldn't even move his leg. During this month, Naruto began to remove the patch and check his new eye. Those whom he saved also came to him several times. During this month, they became good friends. Naruto also created all sorts of things from wood and sucked them into his kamui. He also trained Tai by going into the subconscious and fighting kurama. After the first month, Naruto began to try to walk, which he did very poorly. Taking a couple of steps, he immediately fell, but they caught him, because he was not allowed to walk alone. His legs still hurt a lot, so sometimes when he walked, blood began to flow from his legs. In such cases, it became twice as painful. All 9 shinobi were brought to Ibiki Marino. He was a professional in mental matters, of course far from Inoichi, but still. Having learned everything they needed, Kakashi beat them, after which he threw them into prison. After half a year, Naruto was discharged. All this time, he used his eye and Mokuton. Also, throughout this time, Kushina came to him. One day, even the Hokage came to Naruto, but he came only to tell him that he hated Naruto and even tried to kill him, but Kakashi and Guy arrived in time, who fell into a stupor when they saw what the Hokage was doing. After this incident, they hated Minato Namikaze. When Naruto arrived home, he was still trying to walk less, because his legs still hurt a lot. Even at home, girls, Kakashi and Guy, came to him. After 2 weeks, Naruto finally decided to start training. He spent a month relearning what he already knew, because in half a year he had unlearned everything. Within a month, he became just as strong again. Over the past year, Naruto has reached the following heights: Tai, average chunin. In techniques he became a strong chunin. In Fuin he trained to intermediate chunin. In speed, weak chunin with weights and strong chunin without weights. Hiraishin reached 150 meters. Lightning cover, can use about 20 minutes. The possession of Mokuton reached the weak chunin. He can use the Sharingan freely without straining too much. By the way, the Sharingan has taken root very well, like a native one, but Naruto cannot deactivate it. Uzumaki blood and Kyuubi chakra made the Mangekyo eternal and Naruto does not go blind using it. Kurama has developed mastery of all 5 elements to the maximum. Inton and Yenton are also developed to the maximum, and Naruto and Kurama began to develop Onmyeonton. Kushina also developed Inton, Yenton and Wonton to the maximum, so Kushina is now considered immortal. Well, for Naruto it's not far off. 3 years have passed. Today Naruto goes to the academy. Ask, why doesn't he pass as an external student? It's simple, this makes no sense, because Kushina already has a lot of money and she and Naruto can live until death, and the money will not run out. Naruto and Kushina stood under the tree, waiting for the Hokage to speak. Here, 2 men approached them. It was Kakashi and Guy. After that, Sasuke and Ino came. When they saw Naruto, they immediately ran towards him. So, they talked and laughed for a long time. Suddenly, a flash appeared on the stage and the Hokage came out of it. Pfft! Show off, said Naruto and throwing a kunai. He moved towards him so that only the underdog would notice him. What? How does he know this technique? Thought Minato, seeing how Naruto used Hiraishin, but not a single muscle flinched on his face. When the Hokage finished his fiery speech, which Naruto happily did not listen to, sitting on a tree and looking at the sky, the teachers began to announce who was in which class. Naruto ended up in the same class as Sasuke and Ino, which all 3 were very happy about. Arriving at class, they sat at the same desk and just talked. Everyone looked at Naruto with contempt and anger for sitting with the 2 most beautiful girls in the class. Suddenly, their teacher entered the class. Hello everyone, children, I am your teacher for the next few years. Let's introduce ourselves first. I am Irika Yumina. I love eating noodles in Ichiraku ramen. I don't like traitors. I dream of raising you to be excellent shinobi. Now you. Irika said and the children began to go to the board. I am Sasuke Uchiha. I love my family, friends and tomatoes. I like talking to Naruto and Ino, Hobi, training with brother and Naruto. I don't like show-offs. Sasuke said and sat down next to Naruto, for which he received angry looks from the male half. I am Ino Yamanaka. I love my family and friends, Hobi, training with Naruto and Sasuke. Ino said and sat down. I am Naruto Uzumaki. The rest is laziness. Naruto said, remembering Shikamaru, while the whole class sat in complete shock. Flashback. Naruto was walking around the village as usual. Suddenly, he saw a boy lying in the middle of the road and looking at the sky. Everyone walked around him and threw contemptuous ridicule in his direction, but the boy did not pay attention to them. Naruto walked up to him and sat down and began to say, "Hello. Why are you lying in the middle of the road?" "Yes, so. I'm too lazy to go home and I lay down to rest." The boy answered. "I see." Naruto said and lay down next to him. "Let's be friends?" Naruto asked. "I'm lazy, but come on." The boy answered. "I am Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto said, still looking at the sky. "Well, I'm Shikamaru Nara. Maybe we can play shogi sometime?" The boy answered and asked. "Yes, of course, I like to play shogi." Naruto answered smiling. Since then, Naruto has a new friend. They often played shogi, where Naruto often won. Shikamaru was glad that he had finally found his opponent in shogi. END flashback. I am Shikamaru Nara. The rest is laziness. Shika said and went to his place, and all the students looked at Naruto, then at Shikamaru. In the evening, our five went to the training ground. Chuji fit into their party, since he is Shik's friend. At the training ground, Naru and Shika played shogi, where Naruto won, and after that, they had a sparring match in which they tested their strategic skills. Shikamaru's goal was to take Naruto into his shadow, and Naruto's goal was not to fall into Shika's shadow. 15 minutes later, Shikamaru stood breathing heavily, and Naruto stood in Shikamaru's shadow. "You are smart as always," Naruto said and walked out of the shadows, to which everyone except Shika was surprised. "And you are strong as always," said Shika, smiling and breathing heavily, after which he sat down on the grass. Naruto approached him and poured a drop of his chakra, after which Shik's reserves fell over the edge and the shadows began to disperse in different directions. After this, Naruto fought with Sasuke, where he pointed out her weak points and gave advice. The same thing happened to Ino and Chuji. In the evening, Naruto walked home in a good mood. Entering the house, Naruto saw Kurama crying. "Baby. I'm sorry. I killed your mother. Baby. I'm sorry. I killed your mother," Kurama told me, and I simply fell into a stupor. "What?" I asked muffledly. Just that day I forgot to put on an eye patch and it opened on its own. Apparently, a new ability of my eye had opened and Kurama froze. His eyes became empty. 21 chains came out of my back and flew towards Kurama. There was 1 meter left before his face and my chains stopped. Because other chains crashed into them. Mom came out of the next room and I immediately came to my senses. "Mother?" "But Kurama said you're dead." I shouted and ran towards her. When I got there, I grabbed her and stood there, crying for several minutes. After 5 seconds, Kurama fell from his chair to his knees and spat out blood. "Ugh. Baby, that hurt," Kurama said, breathing heavily. I walked up to him, kicked him, gave him my hand, helping him get up. "What the heck?" I asked, starting to hit Kurama in the chest. "Sorry, baby. I didn't mean to bring you such pain." Ku began, hugging me to himself. "Your mother and I discussed this plan so that you could awaken the chains and the second ability of the eye." I broke away from him and went to the door. "Son, where are you going?" Mom asked. "Don't follow me," I said, in an angry voice and with a sullen look. Going out into the street, I went for a walk around the village. Having reached the center of the village, I noticed that there was no one on the street. Right in front of me, an old man appeared, and next to him, 10 people in animal masks. "Ma. Old man, who else are you?" I asked, with anger and contempt. "It doesn't matter, because you're already mine," said this mummy. "It's not real, what else can you call it? Half of the body is wrapped in bandages." "What? And why would that be?" I asked. He didn't answer anything, but simply waved his hand and those 10 people ran towards me. I opened my left eye and started fighting them. First started the battle in Thai, the rest used techniques. It was their mistake to start the battle in Thai. A minute later, for were convulsing, and I emerged from the rising dust in the cover of lightning and there was not a single scratch on me. We started throwing kunai and shuriken. Suddenly, I disappeared and appeared right in front of one of them. I sent him flying with a punch to the stomach. The others, seeing my strength, decided to simply run away. But the mummy still stood and looked at me. Suddenly, he ran sharply at me and wanted to hit me, but I grabbed his hand and broke it. But he suddenly disappeared. I heard a shout from behind. Futon, blades of the wind. It was not difficult for me to dodge and, looking at him, I saw under the bandages something similar to eyes. I immediately realized that these were Sharingans, because it was useless to use other types of eyes like that. Also, I immediately realized that these were Izanagi, because I had sneaked into the library of the Uchiha clan more than once. I instantly moved behind him and pulled out his hand, simultaneously sucking it into the kamui. Also, I noticed that in his right eye socket there is also a Sharingan and not a simple one, but a Mangekyo. Having pulled it out, I quickly moved into kamui. Over these 3 years, I learned to move myself into kamui. From kamui, I moved straight into Sasuke's room, who was quietly reading, but when she saw me, she said, "Maybe you'll start using the door already?" She's already used to this, but oh well. Sorry. I urgently need your brother and father. I said, looking at her. Okay, wait here. Sasuke said and ran away. A minute later, both came into the room, said hello and looked at me questioningly. Sorry it's so late, but I have important information for you. They closed the door and sat down in front of me, after which I continued. In general, I was walking through the village in the evening and I was attacked by some kind of mummy and 10 people with animal masks. I took out my Sharingan hand from my kamui and handed it to Fugaka-san. Also, I took the jar out of my pocket and handed it to Itachi, saying that he should have it. After that, they bowed to me and I disappeared using kamui. I moved straight to Mount Hokage. I lay down on Hashirama's head and, looking at the sky, thought, what should I do next? After thinking about it, I decided not to talk to them. For now. Having traveled home through Hiration, I lay down in bed. By the way, I made it so that Kurama could move into my seal only if I wanted it. I woke up very early. As I thought. Everyone was still sleeping, and Kurama was sleeping on the sofa in the living room, so I had to walk around him as quietly as possible. I didn't succeed and he still woke up. He was about to say something when I gave him an angry look and moved into kamui. Arriving at the academy, I sat on the back desk next to Shika and fell asleep. It's easier for us to come earlier and just sleep off at the academy. Half an hour later, Sasuke came and sat next to me. Throughout the day, Sasuke and I were shining with knowledge. Ino answered something too. Well, what about Shika? Well, what about Shika? Of course, I slept, because, why do I need it, to be the best, so that all hopes are pinned on me? No, I'd rather sleep. In principle, I share his opinion, but I don't want to be called a nonentity. After the academy, we again went to the training ground. Shika and I conducted our training again and this time, I won. I confronted each one again and pointed out their shortcomings. I decided to do some exhausting training with the Hiration. At first, everyone except Shik was surprised, because I scattered kunai all over the training ground. I began to quickly move towards the kunai. After 40 minutes, I was breathing heavily. After another 40 minutes, I only had crumbs of all my chakra left. I sat under a tree and began to restore my chakra. I returned home very late, around 1 in the morning. Opening the door, I saw a nervous mother and a rug. Naruto, we need to talk. Mom said. I immediately wanted to use kamui, but my mother hugged me and started crying, asking for forgiveness. Naruto, please forgive me. This was a very stupid and reckless step on my part. Kurama also came up to me and bowed and began to apologize. Sorry, baby. It really was a dumb idea, even though it worked. Mom, stop crying. I'm not offended by you, but if this happens again, then I definitely won't forgive you. I said in the most serious voice possible. Okay. Thanks Naruto. Mom exclaimed and buried herself in my shoulder. Today, we had a night of talking. Each one told what had happened to him in recent days. We fell asleep like that, all three of us on the same sofa. So, a year has passed. Since I have not shared my results with you before, now I will tell you what results I have achieved over these 4 years. I, as Kurama says, have very good chakra control, Tai level, somewhere on the level of an average Junin. The weight of the weights is 187 kilograms. I can create 300 clones without straining. I just haven't tried to create the maximum. The range of the PBG has increased to several kilometers, speed and weights, at the level of a strong Chunin, and without, at the level of an average Junin. In techniques, I am at the Junin level. I can use the lightning cover for about 35 to 40 minutes, I just haven't really developed it. I can use Makuton quite well for my age. I also learned to use it at a good level. He can do it like Obito in the canon, but it takes quite a lot of chakra from him. As it turned out, I have discovered 2 new abilities. These are Tsukuyomi, more powerful than Itachi's, and the removal of any genjutsu, even Koto Amatsukami. Also, I have made good progress in mastering the Kong Fuso chains. In learning Fuinjutsu, I have also made great progress. I have learned many C rank and B rank techniques and several A rank techniques. I think, at a minimum, I can take out a weak Junin using my entire arsenal. Today practice begins at the academy. I came early as always and went to bed next to Shika. Later, others began to arrive. After theory, in which Sasuke and I, as always, showed ourselves to be excellent, Iruka-sensei announced practice. First, there was Shuriken Jutsu. Sasuke threw 9 out of 10. Ino threw 7 out of 10. Shika threw 7 out of 10, but I clearly saw that he didn't hit the others on purpose. Approaching him, I said, "Sheik." "Yes?" He answered. I squatted down in front of him, because he was lying under a tree, and smiling sweetly, said, "If next time you don't hit it on purpose again, then I will chase you every day so that you fall without strength, but the next day everything will happen again. Regardless of whether you can move or not. Am I making myself clear?" I asked, releasing my CI. My mother taught me to use it very well. "Why yes," he said, swallowing. Sensei called me and I went to the line from which kunai and shuriken are thrown. Sasuke and Ino stood next to me and supported me. I just turned to them and smiled. "Naruto." Iruka barked, "Throw already." "What do you mean, sensei?" I asked and pointed to the targets, from which 10 kunai were sticking out, each hitting the center. Sensei was simply amazed by my speed. By the way, Chuji scored 7 out of 10. "So children, line up. Now I will announce sparring partners," said the sensei, and after the children stood in a row, he continued, "Sasuke vs Hinata, Ino vs Sakura, Shikamaru vs Kiba, Chuji vs Lee, Naruto vs Neji." I named only the characters we are interested in. For Sasuke, winning was not difficult. Ino didn't bother too much either. Shika won with his mind. Although it was very difficult for Chuji, he was still able to defeat Lee. Still, training with me helped them. And here is my fight. I stood opposite Neji and he began to say, "Give up. You can't beat me. This is a predetermined fate," but I didn't let him finish, saying, "You bore me with your phrases. Get started or get out." Neji was very surprised by my words, but still ran at me. He activated his Byakugan and tried to hit my chakra points, but I easily dodged all the blows. After a minute, I got tired of it and with one light blow, I knocked out Hyuga. 1. Naruto Uzumaki. Iruka shouted. At the end of the day, as usual, we went to the training ground and carried out constant training. By the way, shogi is also part of the training, because by playing it, we develop strategic thinking. After finishing the training, we went home. When I woke up, I went to the academy. Today, as Iruka announced, we have practice again. In Shuriken Jutsu, the results for everyone are the same, except for Shika, he got 10 out of 10. Still, my threats worked. In sparring, there were the same couples, except for mine, I was paired with Sasuke. We fought with her and I again pointed out all her mistakes and shortcomings. Everyone was surprised by this, and some were indignant, saying, "Why am I, garbage, pointing at Sasuke, but when they saw Sasuke's menacing look, they immediately fell silent. So 4 years passed. Today is the final exam. Our entire class passed, and Sasuke and I passed with special distinction, having created shadow clones instead of illusory ones. I distinguished myself even more by creating 20 copies of myself. We were told to come tomorrow at 10 for distribution. Me and Shikamaru arrived at 8 o'clock and just slept until 10. At 10, the teacher began to list the commands. Team number 7, Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno, teacher, Kakashi Hatake. Sasuke and I looked at each other and smiled at each other. Team number 8, Kiba Inuzuka, Hinata Hyuga and Shino Aburame, teacher, Yuhi Kurinai. Team number 9, Niji Hyuga, Rock Lee and Ten Takahashi, teacher, Might Guy. Team number 10, Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara and Chujiya Kimichi, teacher, Asuma Sarutobi. That's all, wait for your teachers. Irika said and left the office. Junins began to enter the office and pick up their new students. After half an hour, during all this time, we were able to teach Kakashi not to be late. Kakashi came into the office and I said, "Hello Kakashi and I-san." "Hello." He didn't have time to finish, because he was interrupted by the pink-haired ballast, as Kakashi dubbed her. "Naruto. How are you talking to Kakashi-sensei?" "Pink-haired, I don't mind him calling me that," Kakashi said. "Sorry," Sakura mumbled. "Okay, let's go to the roof, it's a little hot here," Kakashi said and disappeared into the haze. I instantly moved to the roof and talked with Kakashi. Sasuke walked up the wall. And only our ballast went on for 10 whole minutes. "Well, let's get acquainted," Kakashi said and added, "Let's start with you, pink-haired." "Sensei, set an example," said Sakura. "I am Kakashi Hatake, Junin of Konoha Village. Teacher of team number 7, I love training with Naruto, my dreams and hobbies do not concern you. You said almost nothing about yourself." "Well, okay, I'm Sakura Haruno, I love one boy," she dreamily raised her eyes to the sky, "I don't love Naruto." Sakura finished. Kakashi looked at Sasuke and she, noticing this, began. "I am Sasuke Uchiha, I like chatting with Naruto, I love my family, friends and tomatoes, my hobby is training with my friends." "A dream? There is no such thing," Sasuke said and looked at Kakashi. "Fine. Now you, Naruto," Kakashi said, pointing at me with his hand. "I am Naruto Uzumaki. I love family, friends and training. I don't like being called a demon or a loser." "A dream? Although no, it's more of a goal, because it's feasible, I want to help my mother, restore our clan." "Which clan, loser?" Sakura asked, which upset everyone here and the three of us said in one voice. "Sakura, shut up. Enough already." And I added. "Just because you're clanless doesn't mean that I don't have a clan, okay? And as for the clan, the Uzumaki clan or, as it was popularly called, the clan of scarlet-haired devils. I'm ahead of your question, I'm a half-breed, therefore, I have yellow hair, although the Uzumaki genes take their toll and they begin to turn red a little," I said and took a strand of hair in my hand, which turned red. "Okay guys, tomorrow at 8 at training ground number 7, we will conduct the last test in order to weed out the weakest of you. And I advise you not to eat anything," Kakashi said and disappeared. Sasuke and I did the same and went to the training ground to join the guys. At the training ground, we conducted daily training, after which everyone went home. "You need to get some sleep, tomorrow will be a difficult day." When I woke up, I ate despite Kakashi's words, because I figured out his plan. However, Sasuke also understood everything, which she reported when I arrived at the training ground. After 10 minutes, Kakashi also came, but received an explosive seal in the face, which he dodged. "Naruto." "Well, for what?" Kakashi asked tormentedly. "Nei-san, you're still late. Until you unlearn how, you will receive," I said, grinning. "Okay," Kakashi sang and began to explain the essence of the test. "You have to take these bells away from me." Having said this, he showed 2 bells. "Sensei, but there are only 2 of them," Sakura exclaimed, and the others thought, ballast. Exactly. Anyone who doesn't pick up will be sent back to the academy. Having said this, Kakashi set the alarm clock and put it on the pillar, saying, "You have until noon, time has passed." Everyone except me disappeared into the bushes. Naruto? Why aren't you hiding? Enai-san asked. I understand the essence of the test, but first, I want to test my strength level, I said, and Kakashi sighed resignedly and put the book in his pouch, because he understood that the battle against me was not a piece of cake. I started with Tai, in which we both did not use our eyes. Fugaku transplanted the Sharingan that Kakashi wanted to give to me. After 2 minutes of battle, in which I was losing a little, we jumped away from each other and started using techniques. Mokuton, entwining trees. I shouted and branches began to come out from under the ground and grabbed Kakashi, but he disappeared with a pop. He knew how this technique worked, so he replaced himself with a clone. I picked up the headband and used Tsukuyomi. Kakashi froze, but a second later fell to one knee, breathing heavily. We fought for several more minutes, during which I used almost my entire arsenal, except for chains. Okay, I saw my level, I said and disappeared, appearing next to Sasuke. Kakashi stood there, breathing heavily. Well, let's think over a plan, I asked Sasuke. I've already thought of it, Sasuke answered, and then continued, you will fight him in Tai, I will ensure you with techniques, and Sakura will hide underground and wait until you drive him into a trap. So how? Sasuke said and asked. Not bad. It can be improved, but I'm lazy. Agree with Sakura and we'll start, I answered. Okay. After 2 minutes, Sasuke and I ran out into the clearing. I ran up to Kakashi and fought with him in Tai. Sasuke attacked with techniques, and Sakura, when I led Kakashi into our trap, jumped out of the ground and took the bells. We passed? I asked Kakashi. Yeah, Kakashi said, trying to catch his breath. Tomorrow at 9 near the residence. Having said this, I, Sasuke and Kakashi went to another training ground, and Ballast went home. The next day, we arrived at the residence at 9, and Kakashi came 2 minutes later and looked at me with hope in his eyes. I shook my head negatively, after which I put a clone stamp on him, which brings not severe, but pain. Having entered the residence, we walked to the office and knocked and entered. Hello Hokage-sama. Everyone shouted, and I simply raised my hand in greeting. The Hokage began to glare at me with contempt. Hello, team number 7. Here is your mission. Having said this, he handed the scroll to Kakashi. Kakashi, having read it, was a little surprised, but did not object. Leaving the office, Kakashi said. In 15 minutes, near the gate to the village. Since I took everything with me at once, I headed to the gate. On this day, Kurama decided to stay home. After 15 minutes, we set out and I asked what mission the Hokage had given us. Rank C mission. You will need to meet with a shinobi made of stone and exchange scrolls. Kakashi said and I immediately understood, the mission was a fake, the Hokage sent us to get rid of me, but how did he think of sending Sasuke, the daughter of the head of the Uchiha, there? Upon reaching our destination, we were greeted by 5 shinobi, but I definitely felt that there were many more of them here. Hello. Here is our scroll, Kakashi said and extended his hand with a scroll. Ha ha ha. One of them began to laugh, we don't need scrolls, we need your lives. After his words, shinobi began to emerge from behind the trees and there were about 30 of them. Ksu. Kakashi, run away from here, I shouted. Kakashi wanted to object, but when he saw my gaze, he took Sasuke and Sakura by the arms and began to run away with tears in his eyes. I immediately lifted the blindfold and my chains came out from behind me. I started crushing shinobi left and right, but in the process, I was wounded several times, 2 of them fatal. Having finished off the last one, I sat down under a tree and looked at the sky. Well, it's time to say goodbye, I said mentally. Stop, stop, stop. What do you mean? Fox started shouting. I'm dying, I told him. No. Naruto, Kurama shouted, choking in tears. Sasuke's POV. Kakashi picked me and Sakura up and started running away. No! Kakashi-sensei. Let me go. He's going to die. I screamed crying, but Kakashi didn't pay attention. I tried to break free, but it was all in vain. After a couple of minutes, I finally broke free and ran back. Naruto suggested the direction of the sensor to me and I clearly felt how the last light of the enemy shinobi's chakra had died out. Also, I felt Naruto, who was walking somewhere, and the light of his chakra was quickly fading. Finally, I ran out into the clearing and saw Naruto looking at the sky. End POV Sasuke. No! Naruto. I heard, and turning my head towards the source of the sound, I saw a tearful Sasuke running towards me. When she got there, she fell to her knees next to me. She didn't know what to do. After all, her orientation is a sensor, not a medic. I just smiled sadly at her and then closed my eyes. View from the outside. Kakashi and Sakura ran out into the clearing and saw Sasuke hugging Naruto's dead body and roaring loudly. Kakashi approached her and also fell to his knees and began to cry. Sakura was glad that this loser was finally dead. End view from the outside. I woke up in a very strange place. There was blue water underfoot. In front of me, I saw an old man floating. "Hello, Uzumaki Naruto," said the old man. "Hello. I'm dead?" I asked. "No, you are on the brink, between life and death," the old man told me, and then continued, "I am Hagoromo Oitsutsuki. Or as I am known in your world, Rikudo-san Nin. Kurama's father?" I asked in surprise. The old man looked at me in surprise, after which he continued. "So you know him? Okay. Why am I here? In general, you are the reincarnation of my son, Ashura, and Sasuke is the reincarnation of my daughter, Indra. They always fought among themselves and without finishing it until the end of their lives, they vowed to always be reborn and fight again. You and Sasuke have ended this cycle of hatred. I will bring you back to life and give you some of my strength," said the old man, and I stood in prostration. When I finally returned to normal, I said, "Okay, old man, come on." He extended his hand to me and after I took it with mine, I felt strength filling me and life energy passing to me. Opening my eyes, I felt that I was in someone's arms. Opening them completely, I saw a tearful Sasuke and Kakashi. "Sasuke. You'll strangle me," I wheezed. Sasuke pulled away from me and looked into my eyes in surprise. "You are alive," she exclaimed and again buried herself in my shoulder. Everyone was very surprised and I said, "Sasuke and Kakashi, I'll tell you everything later." After that, Kakashi took me in his arms and we ran towards Konoha. We got there pretty quickly. At the entrance to the village, I was met by a tear-stained mother and Kurama. When they saw us, they immediately ran up to Kakashi and took me, running home. When I got home, my mother gave me a good slap in the face. I didn't resist. We started talking. "Baby, what happened on the mission?" asked Ku. When we reached our destination, we were attacked by 30 stone shinobi. I told my team to run, and I stayed and killed everyone, but in the process, I was wounded several times, and 2 of the wounds were fatal. I answered. "How did you survive?" Kurama asked in surprise. "When I died, I ended up in some strange place and met Rikudo there." "Father?" Ku shouted. "Yes, and he said that I am the reincarnation of his son, Ashura, and Sasuke is the reincarnation of his daughter, Indra. He gave me some of his strength and life energy. That's how I survived." I finished my story. "Orino," was all Kurama could say. After the conversation, I rested and went to the meeting with Sasuke and Kakashi, which I had scheduled earlier. When I got there, I put up a barrier and told them the same thing I told my mom and Kurama. They were surprised, especially Sasuke. "Well, yes, it's not every day that you find out that you are the reincarnation of Rikudo's daughter." Coming out of prostration, Kakashi said. "I see. Okay, Naruto, we told the Hokage that everyone is alive and no one was seriously injured." "I see. Thanks." I smiled. So, we talked for a long time, after which we parted ways, and when I came home, I immediately went to bed. After all, I had not yet fully recovered. In the morning, I came to the training ground and Sasuke was waiting for me there. "Good morning, Naruto," she shouted and ran up and threw herself on my neck. "Good, Sasuke," I said, hugging her back, and after she stood on the ground, I continued, "Sasuke, send more chakra into your eyes than usual." Sasuke did as I said and as I did, and I thought her Mangekyo Sharingan awakened after my death. I told her about this and also told her how to activate Susanoo. I almost immediately put up a powerful barrier. Sasuke tried and succeeded on the third try. I tried to pierce Susanoo's ribs and I managed to do it, only with chains, and this situation did not suit me. I began to come up with a technique to break through Susanoo, and Sasuke trained her eyes. After 15 minutes of thinking, I finally came up with an idea for a technique. I focus lightning chakra in my hand and enhance it with wind chakra. I succeeded the 5th time and I was holding in my hand a spear made of lightning, strengthened by wind chakra. I asked Sasuke to use Susanoo and the spear went through like clockwork. Susanoo became cracked and dissipated. By the way, Kurama told me about the Rinnegan techniques and I decided to create alternatives to these techniques. I came up with a seal and when I drew it, I asked Sasuke to use some technique on me. She launched a fireball at me, and I tried to absorb it, but instead, I was covered in burns. "Naruto." Sasuke ran up to me, but I said, "It's okay, this will heal in 5 minutes." And my burns began to heal before my eyes. I started wondering why it didn't work. I looked at the seal and realized that I had drawn the hieroglyph incorrectly. After I redrawn it, Sasuke again launched a fireball at me and I successfully absorbed it. After that, I started thinking about Shinra Tensei and Banshu Tenin. I created a clone and, stretching my hand forward, directed wind chakra into it and the clone flew away, after which I did the reverse process and the clone was pulled straight into my hand. The Meifu path is not available to me, however, like the other paths of the Rinnegan. I spent the entire day perfecting these techniques. The next day, I asked Sasuke and Itachi to come to me. "Hello Naruto. Why did you call?" Itachi asked. "In general, on a mission, Sasuke awakened a Mangekyo and if she constantly uses it, she will sooner or later go blind, and I know that you, Itachi, also have a Mangekyo." Itachi was very surprised by my words. "Therefore, I want to transplant your eyes to each other, then you will not go blind when using cursed eyes." "Okay. But this requires a doctor, doesn't it?" asked Sasuke. "You're right, but these 4 years, I learned medical techniques from my mother and now, I'm a medic, at least rank B, so lie down and get ready." They lay down, after which I injected them with sleeping pills and after 2 minutes they fell asleep. I quickly transplanted their eyes to each other and at that moment, treated them. There was a catastrophic lack of chakra, but Kurama and I debugged the chakra for half a year and my Byakugo mark awakened. It was under my right eye and it looked like a 6-pointed star. I finished treating them and sat down next to them, breathing heavily. After 2 hours, I recovered, and Itachi and Sasuke woke up. "Now, you can use your eyes without any consequences," I said, and Sasuke and Itachi thanked me. We went out to the training ground behind the house and they started trying out their new eyes. Sasuke tried to use new abilities, which turned out SOSO, and Itachi developed open abilities. I walked up to Sasuke and said, "Sasuke, try to look at one point, direct chakra to the eye and say, Amaterasu." Sasuke did so, and the tree she was looking at lit up with black flames and when Sasuke closed her eyes, it went out. "Hooray! Happened. Thank you Naruto." Sasuke screamed. "I am glad to help," I said. Afterwards, I persuaded them to have lunch and sent them home. In the evening, I went to the bathroom. The door was open, but when I looked inside, I saw my naked mother bathing. Her body was truly beautiful. How beautiful she is. Stop, stop, stop. What am I thinking? This is my mother. I walked into the kitchen and sat down at the table, starting to think about what I saw. I decided to go unwind. Walking through the village, I thought. What's wrong with me? She's my mother. But I can't forget her beauty and I'm unlikely to ever be able to. I didn't even notice how I came to Mount Hokage. I sat on Hashirama's head and after 2 minutes, Sasuke sat down next to me. What are you thinking about? She asked. I quietly put up a barrier that would keep out sounds. Sasuke, you understand. In general. When I was going to the bathroom, I looked through the open door and saw. I saw my naked mother, who was bathing. And what? Don't worry about it. You didn't start thinking about something leftist, said Sasuke. That's the problem, Sasuke. When I saw her, I began to think about how beautiful she was. I no longer see her as a beloved mother, I see an incredibly beautiful woman. I said, with contempt in my voice. The contempt was directed at oneself and only oneself. Naruto, Sasuke began, don't take it into your head. Now I can definitely say that you are special. Sasuke grinned and kissed me on the cheek. I love you, Naruto. And I don't see anything wrong in the fact that you fell in love with your mother. Not as a mother, but as a woman. Sasuke said, to which I just grinned. Thank you, Sasuke. Now I don't feel like a complete insignificance. I said, after which I added quietly, but so that Sasuke could hear me, I love you too. I kissed Sasuke on the lips and got up and went home. Arriving home, I went into the kitchen where my mother was preparing dinner. Mom. We need to talk. Oh, hi Naruto. And what about? Mom asked. About the fact that I saw you. You. Well, don't be tormented. Okay. I saw you naked while you were swimming. I said, in one breath, and now, I see in you not a beloved mother, but a very beautiful woman. I finished. Son, Mom sat down next to me and hugged me, continued, I'm sorry. Me too. I also love you not like a son. Mom blurted out and blushed deeply. What? I asked in a whisper. I don't love you like a son, my mother whispered and kissed me on the lips. How soft and plump her lips are. How sweet they are. I thought and reluctantly broke the kiss and said. Sorry. I can't. For now. Having said this, I got up and went out. Leaving the house, I again went to Mount Hokage. When I got there, I started thinking about everything that happened today. I didn't even notice how someone sat down next to me. It was Sasuke. What are you thinking about? She asked. Yes. I told my mother about everything. Yeah. And what did she answer? Sasuke asked. She said that she doesn't love me like a son. I answered. That's so cool. You love her, right? If only it were that simple. But anyway, thanks for the advice, Sasuke. I said. So, we talked until 1 in the morning, lying in an embrace and looking at the starry sky. After that, I saw Sasuke off and went home myself. I decided for myself that she is my woman. When I arrived, I went into my mother's room and saw her sitting and crying. Mom, don't cry. We need to talk. I said. I went to the bed and sat down, hugging my mother and pressing her to me. I continued. I decided everything for myself. Now you are not my mother. You are my woman. After these words, my mother looked up at me, full of hope. I kissed her as tenderly as possible. I put everything into this kiss, all my feelings and what I feel for her. Mom answered it immediately. We kissed for several minutes until we ran out of air. Breaking the kiss, I began to breathe quickly, but quickly repeated what my mother had been waiting for so long. I kissed her again. I kissed clumsily, after all. Today I kissed for the first time. I was about to go out, but as soon as I stood up, I slipped and fell, right on my mother's chest. When I'm nervous, I'm very clumsy. I said, looking closely at my mother. This is a family thing for us. Mom giggled. I grabbed my mother's lips and when I broke the kiss, I said. I can't stand it anymore. If this continues. Mom, hearing my words, interrupted me and whispered in an excited tone in my ear. Then you don't have to hold back. When I woke up, I started to get up, but then I remembered what happened yesterday and became embarrassed. Looking at Kushina, I immediately calmed down and smiled, kissed my mother tenderly and went to the bathroom. Going inside, I did some water treatments and looked in the mirror and saw that my hair had grown just below my shoulders. I started combing them, but nothing worked. After 2 minutes, I was sitting in front of the mirror, my hair was tangled and a comb was sticking out of it. Dash! I shouted, hitting the wall lightly. Mom ran into the bathroom and asked, "Honey, what happened?" But when she saw me, she started laughing loudly. "Not funny," I exclaimed. "It would be better if she helped." Okay. Mom said, calming down and coming up, she began to untangle her hair and took out a comb. After 20 minutes, I was sitting with a beautiful hairstyle. My mother braided my bun. "And it suits you very well," she said. "Thank you, dear," I said and got up and kissed her. I left the bathroom and got dressed, went to the kitchen, prepared breakfast and ate it, left a portion for my mother and went to the residence. Because today we have a mission. Arriving at the residence, Sasuke attacked me, and I hugged her back. Everyone was surprised by this. "Okay, let's go," Kakashi said. Upon entering the residence, and later the Hokage's office, we were given a C-rank mission. "Tazuna-san, come in," shouted the Hokage. An old man entered the office with a bottle of sake in his hand. "And this me. Little thing will protect me." Protect me?" the old man said somehow. "God, old man, when was the last time you were sober?" I asked, releasing a little ki. Sorry. "Excuse me," the old man said again, somehow, quickly sobering up. "Okay, Naruto, that's enough," Kakashi said. "In 1 hour, near the gate to the village." "Hi!" everyone shouted. I just disappeared without saying a word. I appeared in the middle of the room. Mom, who was just sitting on the bed, jumped and yelped. "Darling, don't scare me like that," Mom said. Without answering anything, I went up to my mother and threw her onto the bed, spending 30 wonderful minutes. Having finished, I told my mother about the mission, and she said, "Now it's clear why you are so insatiable." From my mother's words, I was a little embarrassed. We talked a little more and said goodbye. I left for the mission. Near the gate, Sasuke, Sakura and the customer were already waiting. "Nei-san hasn't come yet?" I asked. "No," said Sasuke. After 5 minutes, Kakashi came and I hit him in the back, causing him to fly into the wall. "Naruto, maybe that's enough?" Kakashi asked, barely standing up. "I told you, until you stop being late, you will get paid," I said, shrugging my shoulders. "Okay, let's go," Kakashi said, and we left the village. We walked along the road. I spoke with Sasuke, and Kakashi and Sakura spoke with the customer. Puddle? It hasn't rained for a long time," thought Kakashi, when he suddenly saw 2 wooden pins that pierced the puddle. Kakashi looked at me with a questioning look and I just shrugged. 2 unconscious bodies fell out of the puddle. Everyone was surprised, and I took the bodies and tied them to a tree. After 20 minutes, the Nukanins woke up. Kakashi looked through their memories using the Sharingan. I sealed the bodies in scrolls and we moved on. A few hours later, we reached the lake and swam across. Kakashi shouted, "Get down!" and pulled Tazuna and Sakura along with him. Sasuke fell to the ground. I just stood there while a huge sword flew at me. When there was only 1 meter left before me, everyone got very scared and started shouting for me to dodge, but I just caught the sword by the handle without even flinching. I twirled the sword in my hand and, sealing it, said, "Thank you for the gift." Everyone went nuts from this, and Zabuza started shouting, "Hey! Small! You are nuts? Give me back my sword. If you defeat me, you will take me," I said calmly. Zabuza was about to start being indignant again when he saw 21 chains fly out from behind me. Oh. So are you the Scarlet Chain of Konoha?" he asked. "Nani? What are you even talking about?" Of course, I heard that they gave me some kind of nickname after the massacre that I carried out, but I didn't go into details, so I didn't hear my nickname. I was told about the Scarlet Chain, who, at the age of 13, killed about 30 shinobi of the stone. Said the mummy-like one. It's clear. Well, let's get started. I said, walking towards him and simultaneously removing the protector from my left eye. I wanted to just throw it into Tsukuyomi, but that would have been too boring. I decided not to even use the chains, because they went back into my back. We fought for several minutes, where I won a little. Finally, he jumped back and said, "Nimpo, hiding in the fog." Fog began to disperse throughout the clearing. I stood still and didn't move. He started beating me quickly. Well, that's what he thought. In fact, I decided to train my control over the Mangekyo and all the blows went right through. I directed my chakras into my palms and the fog began to be sucked into the seal. But he continued the beating. Finally, I got tired of it and, grabbing his hand, pulled it with such force that it broke. I hit him in the chest and was about to finish him off when several senbon flew into his neck. An ANBU of the mist landed in the clearing and said, "Thank you for helping me catch him. If you don't mind, I'll take it." Against. I said, "You are not ANBU. If you were an ANBU, you would have to cut up his corpse on the spot." I said, approaching him. He threw a senbon at me, which I caught and, with amazing accuracy, threw at his neck. I wanted to finish off the two of them, but he used Shunshin with his last strength and disappeared. Okay. Next time, only one will survive. I said, looking at the place where the boy had just been. I felt tired and began to fall. Strange, I didn't use chakra, so why is it so bad? It's clear. And he thinks ahead. In the end, he threw a poisonous senbon at my leg. Okay, I guess Kakashi will carry me. I thought before passing out. As soon as I woke up, Ku immediately pulled me into the subconscious. "Morning, Ku, why did you call?" "Hello. Kid, you passed out from the poison, so I started developing your perception of poison to make it much harder to poison you." "Okay, thank you, Ku." Coming out of my subconscious, I saw Sasuke, who was sleeping on my chest. "Sasuke." I whispered in her ear. "Emichim," she mumbled sleepily. "Wake up." I continued to wake her up. She still didn't get up. I decided to play trump card and kissed her loudly on the ear. Sasuke immediately blew up and started yelling at me, but I just laughed out loud. We got dressed and went down to the first floor, where they were already waiting for us. We sat down at the table and started eating breakfast. After eating, I sent 10 clones with Tazuna, and we went to train. Leaving Sakura to train chakra control, we went deeper into the forest. We had a sparring match, Kakashi and Sasuke against me. They started with Tai. All three had special eyes, but mine turned out to be stronger, because I was ahead of all their attacks. Finally, they jumped away and Sasuke, calling Kakashi to him, activated Susanoo. "Stupid, Sasuke," I said and created a spear from lightning. I threw it and Susanoo dissipated. Suddenly, the ground beneath me began to shake and Sasuke and Kakashi jumped out. They wanted to hit me in the face, but I grabbed their hands and threw them into a tree. "I admit. You got me," I said loudly. Sasuke and Kakashi just smiled and closed their eyes. Yes, I didn't force them weakly. I approached them and treated their wounds. We went to different sides of the training ground and each trained something different. I decided to study what Shikamaru showed me. I started trying to use shadows. Thanks to Hiruzen's memories, I learned it quite quickly. It was not for nothing that Hiruzen was called the professor of shinobi. In 2 hours, I perfected this technique and just when Sakura arrived, she was able to reach the top of the tree. I approached her and asked what she wanted to learn. "I want to become a doctor and move up to Tai." She answered me. "Fine. Then you will spar against my clone." PF. Clone? "Yes, I will destroy him with one blow," she said with contempt. "You're right, but this blow still needs to be delivered," I said with a slight grin. I created a clone and Sakura started trying to hit it. I trained Tai with Kakashi. After 20 minutes, Sakura stood with a strong breath, and my clone didn't care. Sakura, if you want to learn something, then when you return to Konoha, you will spar against my clone every day. I said, approaching her. Oh okay. She barely managed to say because of severe shortness of breath. When we bring Tai to the proper level, I will begin to teach you ironing techniques. I said. Are you a doctor? She asked in surprise. I'm a generalist. I can do a lot of things, but some areas are not very developed. I said. So you are a censor? She asked. Yes, and better than Sasuke, because she learned this direction from me. I answered. It's clear, said Sakura. Okay, rest and then we'll continue, I said. Half an hour later. Sakura again tried to destroy my clone, but after 10 minutes, nothing happened. My clone, by the way, was just dodging. You did great, Sakura, I said, taking her to the tree. But I couldn't dispel your clone, she said in surprise. It's okay, I was weak once too, I said. Just because you are weak does not mean that you cannot become stronger. Fine, she exclaimed when I treated her. At this rate, 5 days have passed. Sakura became much stronger, as did Sasuke. We were sitting at the table and a little kid started screaming when we started talking about training. What is the point of your training? Gato will kill you all anyway. Woo. Little one, be quiet. My head hurts. I began, what makes you think that he will kill us? Because he has a lot of money and can hire shinobi to kill you. They don't have enough strength, I said, getting up from the table and walking towards the exit. When I came out, Tsunami, the customer's daughter, asked. Where is he going? Don't know, Kakashi said, also getting up and following me. Going out into the street, I went to this Gato. Naruto. Wait. Kakashi shouted to me and approached me, asking, are you going after Gato's head? Yes. And you won't stop me, I said. But I didn't intend to. I will help you, and you will give me 20% of the profit. Is it coming? Okay, come on. Having reached the Gato mansion, we began to scan it with our Sharingan. After 2 minutes, I took off the weights and we quickly ran to the house. I deliberately ran so that Kakashi could keep up with me. When we reached the entrance, I separated and literally disappeared. Well, he has speed, Kakashi said into the void. I ran to the stairs to the second floor, simultaneously killing all the mercenaries and sealing them in scrolls. Having reached the stairs, I went upstairs and began checking all the rooms. Entering the next room, I saw a lot of gold, money and other valuables. I quickly sealed everything in a scroll and went out and ran on. On the way, I met this Gato, who, hearing the commotion, began to run. Of course, he tried to escape through the window, but came across my barrier. When I was right in front of him, I stopped so he could see his killer. Stop. Please. I'll pay you, he said in a squeaky voice. Ah, don't be afraid, the money is yours, I'll take it too, I said and cut his throat. I sealed it in a separate scroll and went to the next room. Having walked around the mall and sealed everything I found there, I went down to the first floor, where Enai-san was already waiting for me. So how did it go? He asked. Excellently, I said, and we went to Tazuna's house. We arrived 10 minutes later and quietly made our way to our room. We wanted to lie down, when in the middle of the room a small light lit up the whole room. Sasuke was sitting on my futon and looking at us with an angry look. Well. And where were you? She asked. Well. You see, Sasuke, Kakashi hesitated. They killed Gato. I snapped and sat down on the futon, next to Sasuke. Are you idiots? It is very dangerous, she said quietly. Oh, Sasuke, what can ordinary bandits do to two experienced shinobi? I asked sarcastically. Okay, but don't let this happen again, she said, and we went to bed. Sasuke, by the way, lay with me. In the morning, I sent the clones with Tazuna, and I went with Kakashi to the black market. Having handed over all the Nukanins, gold and jewelry, I kept 2 pendants for myself, because they were very beautiful. I'll give this one to Kushina, and this one to Sasuke, I thought. And also, by turning in Gato, I received 2 billion Ryo. When I left, I gave Kakashi 400 million, to which he was shocked. At this rate, we spent another 3 days. Today, I decided to go to the bridge on my own, leaving several clones at Tazuna's house, because I had a very bad feeling. I sat and watched the workers make the bridge. Suddenly, the bridge began to be covered with fog. And here you are, Momochi Zabuza, I said, standing up. All the workers ran away, and I stood in front of Zabuza. He started to attack me. But I easily dodged and counterattacked. Suddenly, ice mirrors appeared around me, and in them, I saw that guy in an ANBU mask. About. And you are here, I said, breaking one of the mirrors in which his image flashed. I think we need to get a little more serious, I said, and sped up a little, but it was enough to overtake him in speed. I grabbed him and wanted to break his neck, but Zabuza stopped me, saying, "Stop. Kill me, but not him." I was surprised by his words and said, "Rejoice, I liked you, so I'll let you live," I said, and went up to Zabuza and gave him the boy. We left the bridge and went into the forest, where I built them a house with Makutan. "With this, I will leave you," I said. "Wait," said the guy, "what is your name?" he asked. "Naruto Uzumaki." "And you?" I asked in response. "Haku Yuki." "See you later, Haku and Zabuza," I said, and disappeared. I appeared on the bridge. In 2 days, the bridge was completed and it was named after me, Great Naruto Bridge. Arriving at the village, we handed in the report, and leaving the residence, I gave Sasuke and Sakura a couple of million Ryo each. I'm too lazy to complete missions, but this money should be enough for some time. After that, I took Sasuke by the hand, and using Hiration, we appeared in front of the house where my mother and I lived. "Maybe we should not?" asked Sasuke, with a slightly trembling voice. "Don't be afraid. Everything will be fine," I said. We entered the house and went to my mother's room. She sat and did something. Mom noticed us and frowned a little. "Hello, dear," I said, and went up to her and kissed her passionately. Mom was surprised by this, because I didn't come alone, but when I broke the kiss, we told everything, and Mom replied, "Well, thank you, Sasuke. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have a man. Come on, Kushina-san. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have such a wonderful boyfriend," Sasuke said, and I stood up and unsealed 2 necklaces. Back in the land of waves, I cleaned them thoroughly. First, I put the necklace on my mother, and then on Sasuke. "This is for you, my beloved," I said, smiling tenderly. "Thank you, Naruto," they said in one voice. After that, we had lunch and, having discussed who I would be with on what day, we went for a walk. The next day, I walked around the village with Sasuke. We were passing by an alley and heard, "Are you crazy, little guy? Apologize." Sorry. Turning towards the source of the sound, the couple saw a boy in overalls holding Konohamaru by the collar. "Kankuro, let him go, otherwise we will have problems," said the girl, who clearly didn't care what was happening. Oh. You already have them," I said, walking towards these 2. "Brother Naruto," Konohamaru shouted. After I found out that Konohamaru is Hiruzen's grandson, I took him under my wing. "We have problems?" "Brat, aren't you confused?" the guy asked. "No, you got it wrong," I said, instantly finding myself near him and breaking my arm. "This is the esteemed grandson of the 3rd Hokage, Konohamaru. Also, he is my adopted brother." After these words, sand flew at me, crashing into my back and simply dissipating. "What?" shouted the guy with red hair. "About one-tailed Jinchuriki," I said, approaching him. "Stop. Do not come to me. Otherwise I'll kill you," he shouted, but I clearly saw fear in his eyes. I approached him and touched his forehead. Together we entered his subconscious. "Hello, Shikaku," I said loudly. What? What kind of little thing is this? He shouted in a frantic voice. I am Uzumaki Naruto. Also, I am the reincarnation of Hagoromo Otsutsuki's son. I said. What? This is impossible. He continued shouting. It's true, Shikaku, said Kurama, who came out of the shadows. About. Rug. And I keep thinking, how did he get here? Now it is clear. He shouted. I remembered the guy who stood and listened to us all this time. Exactly. Sorry. I am Uzumaki Naruto. I said and extended my hand to the guy. Dog no Gaara. The guy said and shook my hand. His eyes were worth 5 kopecks. Well, Shikaku. Could you stop bothering Gaara? I asked. Okay. He sang. Gaara, my advice to you, make friends with him. I said. It's okay. I am dog no Gaara. Gaara said, turning to Shikaku. I am Shikakao. He sang again and extended his fist towards Gaara. Gaara immediately fought him off with his own. Okay, let's go. Bye, Shikaku. I said and we left Gaara's subconscious. Gaara, pick up your cloak. I said. Everyone was surprised, but Gaara picked it up, and I, soaking my fingertips with chakra, touched my stomach, and rearranged the seal so that both the bijou and the wearer would be comfortable. After that, we said goodbye, and Sasuke and I moved on. Konohamaru thanked me and ran to his friends. As we walked, Kakashi appeared right in front of us and said. Hi, guys. Hello, Enai-san. I answered him. Kakashi held out the forms and said. These are forms for participation in the Chunin exam. If you want to participate, please fill them out. Okay, thank you. Sasuke said, and I glared at Kakashi with a dissatisfied look. Naruto, what's wrong? He asked, but was already preparing to run. You should have given the forms an hour before the exam. Teams from other villages are already arriving. I said, not hitting him in the stomach too hard. Sorry, I'll fix it. He said and hastened to retreat. Wow, I said, looking at where Kakashi had just stood. The next day, I gave the completed form to Kakashi, whom I could barely find. I arrived at the academy where Sasuke and Sakura were waiting for me. We went up to the second floor, where a lot of people gathered near room 301. P.F. Nadajanin. I said so that everyone could hear me. What did you say? Asked some guy from the sound. He swung his hand to hit me, but I grabbed his hand and twisted it, sending him flying. Sasuke, Sakura, let's go. I said, turning towards the stairs. The girls did not contradict me and followed me. We went up to the third floor, where Kakashi was waiting for us. Well done. Now I am confident that you will be able to pass the exam. He said and disappeared into the smoke. We entered the office and all the genin immediately started looking at us. They tried to point their ki at us, but I released just a little of mine, and they all started sweating down their faces. I approached Shika and we talked until some bespectacled guy from a sheet came up to us. Hi guys. Are you renting for the first time? He asked. I immediately hit him in the stomach and he bent over, and I whispered in his ear. Say hello to Orochimaru. He was very surprised by my words and immediately left us behind. 15 to 20 Chunin and Junin entered the office. He began to say. Genins, take your places. Stage 1 of the exam begins. About. Ibiki. I didn't think you'd be my examiner. I said, to which everyone was shocked. Oh, hi Naruto. As you see. He said. Flashback. I was walking through the village with Kakashi and suddenly we heard children screaming. We immediately ran towards the sound. Having arrived, we saw 3 Chunin who were beating a little boy. Scum. I said and ran towards the shinobi. I quickly knocked everyone out, took them, Kakashi took the boy, told me where the interrogation room was and I ran there. Arriving there, I saw a man whose entire face was covered in scars. END flashback. Stage 1, written. There are 10 questions you must answer. You can't write off, if you get caught 3 times, you're out. Said Ibiki. Time has passed. I immediately got the hang of it and took the piece of paper, folded it into an airplane and let it fly around the classroom. Everyone was very surprised, but Ibiki just smiled. We decided to play a game, who has the stronger CI. I won, but half of the genin lay unconscious, the rest were breathing heavily, all except Sasuke and Shikamaru. Ibiki and I just laughed, and Enko flew into the classroom. Whoa, what happened here? She asked. About. Enko-san. Hello. I said. Flashback. I, as usual, went to the training ground. When I got there, I saw a pretty girl who was training. Hello. I said, approaching her. She immediately threw a kunai at me, which I intercepted and sent back, cutting her neck. Whoa. I thought you were an ordinary genin. She said. I, going up to her and healing the wound with my mystical hand, said. Yes, I am a genin, but not quite an ordinary one. END flashback. Hello Naruto-kun. So what happened here? She asked again. Yes, we just played a game. I said, scratching the back of my head in embarrassment. It's clear. Okay. Those who haven't passed out, follow me. She said. We reached the training ground and Enko began to explain the essence of the second stage. I didn't listen to him, because I knew perfectly well what awaited us and just talked with Sasuke. I stood with my back to Enko and she, seeing how I was communicating, instead of listening, threw a kunai at me. All the genin started laughing, because not every Junin can dodge a kunai flying at your back. I jerked my hand and caught the kunai between my index and middle fingers. I threw it back and cut Enko's cheek. Everyone was shocked, and Enko smiled and said. Your reaction, as always, is excellent. Thank you. I answered and approached, ran my finger over the cut and when I removed it, there was no wound. Okay. Let's go. We entered the forest and went straight to the tower. Along the way, we met several teams and successfully took their scrolls. Suddenly, I felt a huge thirst for blood and turned around and saw a scary girl. Orochimaru, I assume? I asked. And you are quick-witted. Did he or she hiss? And what did the snake Sannin want from me? I shouted, channeling chakra into my vocal cords. I shouted so loudly that they could hear me even beyond the training ground. I need you. He said and pointed his finger at me. Sasuke, take the scrolls and run. I said quietly. What about you? She objected. I'll think of something. I said. Okay. I waited until Sasuke and Sakura ran away and turned to him. Let us start. I asked, baring my teeth madly. I decided to use all my trump cards and chains flew out from behind my back. I raised the headband and showed my Sharingan. About. So do you have a Sharingan? He asked. Yes, there is, so what? I asked. We started a battle that I was losing. Why didn't I put it in Tsukuyomi, you ask? Because he never looked into my eyes. The Sannin caught me and bit me on the shoulder, and I put a rather powerful S-rank seal, so Orochimaru was forced to retreat, but finally said. You will come to me yourself. I will wait for you. I sat down under a tree, breathing heavily. A team came out into the clearing. It was Gaara's team. Hello. Gaara. As you can see, I'm not in the best condition. I said intermittently due to shortness of breath. Will you help? I asked. Why would we help you? We will kill you. Kankuro shouted and ran towards me. When there was a meter left before me, Gaara's sand covered me. We will help you. Gaara said. Thank you. I managed to answer before I passed out. I woke up a few hours later. The entire sand team was sitting next to me. Thank you for helping. I said, getting up, this is for you. I printed out 2 scrolls, one of earth, one of sky. Thank you. Gaara said and took the sky scroll. I'll be back in a minute and if you want, we can walk to the tower together. I said. Okay, come on. Gaara answered, and I disappeared. I appeared right next to Sasuke, who, getting scared, hit me on the turnip. Ugh. Cruel, I said, getting up from the ground. Crap. Naruto. Sorry. I was just scared. Sasuke said and ran up to me and helped me stand up. Okay. Take me by the shoulders. I said. For what? Sakura asked me. I will take us to the sandstones. Together with them, it will be easier to reach the tower. I said. Naruto, are you sure you can trust them? Asked Sasuke. Yes. They saved me when, after the battle with Orochimaru, I sat and could not move. I answered. Okay. We appeared in the middle of the cave in which I woke up. Ready? Asked Gaara. Yes. I answered and we moved towards the tower. We reached it in 2 hours, simultaneously taking scrolls from the teams that attacked us. As I thought, we arrived first. I immediately went to Anko. Anko-san. Yes, Naruto-kun? She said. When we went to the tower, Orochimaru attacked us and put his mark on me. I said. Is that so? Will you show me? She asked. Certainly. I showed the shoulder on which the mark stood, and when Anko saw it, I gave the go-ahead and Kurama broke the mark with his chakra. We need to put a restraining seal. Said Anko. Not necessary. Kyuubi had already broken the mark with his chakra. I said and showed my shoulder again. Wow. She said. Okay, I'll go. I slept for another 4 days, because the mark drained too much strength from me. When 5 days had passed, the Hokage announced additional battles because too many people had passed. First fight, Uchiha Sasuke vs Sound Guy, I don't remember the name. Sasuke won without effort. Second fight, Dog no Gaara vs Rock Lee. Gaara won, but did not break Lee. Third fight, Shikamaru Nara vs Kin. Shika won by knocking her out against the wall. Fourth fight, Naruto Uzumaki vs Kiba Inuzuka. Kiba jumped onto the battlefield, and I, imposingly, went down the stairs. Kiba started trying to hit me, but I just slowly dodged his attacks. Finally, I got tired of everything and with a slight movement of my hand I knocked him out. Fifth fight, Sakura Haruno vs Ino Yamanaka. Sakura won thanks to my training. The rest of the fights are not interesting to us. The Hokage began his speech. Everyone who passed will participate in the third stage, which will take place in a month, so spend this month wisely. After the second stage, I decided to take a walk and think about my training for this month. I walked past the hot springs and saw some old man with long gray hair spying on the girls. I quietly approached him from behind and whispered in his ear. Old man, do you know that peeking is bad? The old man shuddered and turned his head to see me. Baby, don't bother me collecting materials. He said, and he thought, who is this boy? How did he sneak up on me from behind so quietly? Listen, are you by any chance Jiraiya? I asked. You're right, kid, I didn't listen further, because he was talking some nonsense. Listen, boy, would you like to become my student? I nod, and he asks another question, what is your name? My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I said, and the old man turned pale. Naruto? He asked in surprise. Exactly, the failed godfather. I answered him. But you're dead. Jiraiya objected. It's just that my own father decided that my body was captured by the Kyuubi and sent me to an orphanage. I said. I see. Okay, I'll talk to Minato later. The old man answered me and we went to the training ground. At the training ground, we had a sparring match, in which I lost, but gave a worthy rebuff. And you are very strong. Do you want me to teach you Rasengan? He asked, and I shrugged and put my hand forward, creating a Rasengan with one hand. What? How? I learned this technique several years ago. I said and added, better teach me the summoning technique. Fine. Jiraiya pulled out a scroll from behind his back and opened it, telling me to write down my name in blood and put my fingerprints on it. I did so, and when I used the summon, I summoned a huge toad, on the first try. Gamabunta? Shouted G, short for Jiraiya. Jiraiya, why did you call me? Asked Toad. It wasn't me who called you, said the old man. Who then? Asked the Toad. It was I who called you. I intervened. What? How could such a boy summon me, Gamabunta, the Toad Boss? Okay, then I'll call you Toad Boss, I said. How dare you? He shouted and began to try to throw me off of him. I just directed chakra into my legs and grabbed hold so that now he won't be able to throw me off until my chakra runs out, and I have so much chakra that it won't run out soon. After a couple of hours, he got tired and stopped. Okay, baby, I admit you, said the Toad Boss, and I jumped up and shouted. Yes. We practiced a little more and went our separate ways. The next day, I tried to use a minimum of chakra and summoned some small and old toad, which introduced itself as Fukasaku. He suggested that I study the hermit regime and explained its pros and cons. The advantages of the mode are that any technique becomes much stronger, but the disadvantages are that if you collect too much natural energy, you can turn into a toad. Okay, I'm ready, I said, and we were transported to Mount Miyaboku. I sent a messenger home to warn me that I would be gone for some time. In the letter, I said, "Darlings, I will be gone for about a week. I went to Mount Miyaboku with Kushina, I already want you. Sasuke, don't be afraid, I will deprive you of your innocence, if of course you don't mind. I love you." 3. We started training, in which I collected energy, and Fukasaku-sama beat me with a stick. After a few hours, I was still able to collect a little, but the energy and these sensations are indescribable. This is very cool. I felt omnipotent. And when I was able to lift one of the statues without really straining, I was completely dismayed. I decided for myself that I should master this mode to perfection. This is what I did for the next 2 days. Yes, you didn't think so, I mastered Sennin Modo in 2 days. By the way, as Fukasaku-sama and G himself said, I brought my regime to the ideal, even Jiraiya did not reach such heights. It was disappointing for me that natural energy could not be collected on the go, so my next goal was to learn how to collect energy on the go. Of course, everyone tried to dissuade me, but I stood my ground and continued to study. In 2 weeks, I was still able to learn this, to which everyone was simply amazed. Yes, I was amazed myself. When energy is collected on the go, it brings even more pleasure. I spent another 3 days trying to bring this to perfection, because in the real world there is no Fukasaku with his stick. Having brought the regime to the ideal, I thanked everyone who helped me and we returned to our world. Yes, these 2 weeks were very difficult. What made them difficult was that I had never been hit on the head so much before. By the way, as I said, I was gone for a week, even less, because in the world of conscription, time flows differently and here only 5 days have passed. I came to the training ground where Sasuke and Kakashi were training. "Hi all," I said. "Naruto," Sasuke said and ran up to me, hugged me and whispered so that only I could hear, "I don't mind." "Huh. Okay, I'll arrange it," I said also quietly. "Well, do you want to see my results?" I asked. "Certainly," they said in one voice. "Okay, attack me together," I said and activated Sennin Modo. I decided not to use the Sharingan, Chains, Hiration, or Lightning Shroud. Only Tai, only hardcore. Sasuke and Kakashi began to attack me and I neutralized all their attacks, and even counterattacked. Since nothing worked for them and Tai, they jumped back and began attacking with techniques. "Kato, fireball!" Sasuke shouted and a ball 3 meters in size flew at me. I just stood still and when the ball reached me, I just went through it and didn't take a single drop of damage. I got tired and instantly found myself behind them and put a kunai to their necks. "You won," Kakashi said. "Sasuke, did you do the training I left for you?" I asked in a stern voice. Yes, she said, clearly scared. "Well done, let's check it out." I answered and made a sharp lunge forward, but Sasuke was able to dodge. Coming home in the evening, I began to think. When I collect energy on the go, the process is too slow. I need to come up with something. I sat and thought for an hour and a half and finally came up with an idea. I will make a second seal, on top of the seal of the 8 trigrams, and I will collect energy into it. I will always collect energy and it will be placed in the seal. This way I will get an endless Sannin Moto. I began to draw a seal on the sheets and after an hour of trying, I applied the seal and felt how it began to collect energy. By the way, this seal is considered bottomless. You can put 200 reserves of Kurama's chakra there and there will still be room. By the way, Kurama and I divided the seal into compartments. The first compartment for natural energy, the second compartment for Ku's chakra, and the third compartment for my chakra. Just towards the end, Kushina arrived. Entering the room, she saw me sitting and drawing hieroglyphs. "Cute," she said and ran towards me. "Kushina," I said and got up, caught her, kissed her and hugged her to me. Mom got tired of waiting and said, "I want you. I understand you," I said in a joking manner and carried her to bed. We collapsed on the bed, unable to move. The next morning, I woke up and got up and went to the bathroom. Afterwards, I went to the kitchen and, having prepared breakfast, took it to Kushina's bed. I put breakfast on the nightstand and bent over, whispering in my beloved's ear. "Honey, wake up." My bunny began to open her eyes and when she finished, she saw me smiling, looking at her. "Good morning, Naru," she said and stood up, pulled me to her and kissed me passionately. "Kind," I said and also kissed Kushina. I gave her a tray and she began to eat and feed me at the same time. We ate and I left the room, took a piece of paper and wrote a note, leaving it on the kitchen table. The note says, "In the evening, near the residence. 3". I left the house and went to the training ground. Arriving there, I saw Sasuke and Kakashi. "Hi people," I said and approached Sasuke. I wanted to hug her, but she walked away and asked, "What are you doing?" I was very surprised by her words and decided to find out later what happened. We had a training session and I asked Kurama. "Ku, do you happen to know what happened to Sasuke?" "I think I know." He began. I scanned her and she doesn't remember your relationship, Kurama said, and I was left in a precipitate. "What?" I asked barely audibly. Kurama did not repeat it, because he understood that this question was rhetorical. I hurried to leave the training ground, and Ku said, "Naruto, I see a mark from the Sharingan. It was they who erased the memory of you." I went to an abandoned landfill and set up a barrier, smashing the landfill to pieces, screaming at the same time. "So, you can still be broken," said the unknown person and disappeared. In the evening, I quietly came home and, after washing myself, went to the residence. Arriving there, I saw Kushina, who looked simply gorgeous. Her hair was braided in a bun, beautiful makeup was done, she was wearing the same necklace in the form of the sign of the Uzumaki clan and wearing the most gorgeous evening dress. Walking up to her, I hugged her and started crying, and I looked depressed. "Honey, what happened?" Kushina asked worriedly. "Darling, I have big problems," I said through tears. "Which?" she asked and took me by the arm and led me to the park. We were silent until we reached the park, because there are many extra ears. Arriving at the park, we sat down on a bench and put up a barrier. I began to tell. "Dear, you understand. Sasuke's memory of me was erased," I said and, unable to restrain myself, roared. "Little fox, no need to cry. Tell me everything in order," Kushina said, hugging me to her as tightly as possible. Today, when I came to the training ground, I wanted to hug Sasuke, but she walked away. Kurama said that her memory was erased with the Sharingan. "She doesn't remember our relationship," I said, clutching Kushina's back. "Naruto, relax, calm down, stop crying," she said in a very calm voice, but her words infuriated me. "How can you not cry?" I asked, although I rather shouted. "Sorry, I lost my temper. I cannot relax. Naruto, I understand that it's very difficult for you now, but if you don't calm down and relax, then we won't be able to find a way to help Sasuke." she said in an even warmer and calmer voice. Her words inspired me and I decided to solve this problem. Okay, let's have dinner and then find a way together, I said, and hugging my mother, we went to the restaurant. We ordered food and ate, came home and began exploring our home library. Yes, we have our own library. Finding nothing, I decided to look through the Uchiha library. I reread everything, but I still haven't found anything that is in any way related to my problem. Also, I found many interesting techniques and took them for myself. Everything started to piss me off and I got very angry. I went through all the archives and libraries, but nothing. Not found. I got very angry again and the village lost another training ground. I have to find a way. And I will find him. I spent that night on the head of the first Hokage and never showed up at home. Also, I didn't get out of my thoughts. I still couldn't fall asleep. Coming out of my thoughts, I decided to talk to Itachi. I came to their house and quietly snuck into his room. About Naruto. When will you start using the door? He asked with a grin, but when he saw my condition, he immediately became serious. What's happened? Itachi, your sister's memory of our relationship was erased, I said, and Itachi sat with a very surprised face. How did you know that? Itachi asked again. Kyuubi suggested. By the way, her memory was erased with the Sharingan, I answered, and Itachi frowned. Won't you help me? I asked. Of course I'll help. First, you need to try to get into her head, he said, and we discussed the plan. I came to the training ground and quietly replaced Kakashi with my clone, who was under the henge. After telling everything to Kakashi, he said that he would help us. I sent Itachi a message to come. After 2 minutes, Sasuke began a battle with my clone, who told her not to use the Sharingan, and just then Itachi appeared. The clone appeared behind Sasuke and placed a sleep seal. We ran out into the clearing and, setting up a barrier, penetrated Sasuke's subconscious with the help of the Sharingan. We found the memories and looked through everything. We found that they not only erased her memory, but also bookmarked her love for Kiba Inuzuka. This really pissed me off, but I couldn't break the bookmark. We left the subconscious, and Itachi laid out Plan B. Naruto, now we need you to tell Inoichi everything and ask him for help. I remembered what I did to him when he tried to erase my mother's memory and began to get nervous. Oh okay. I'll try, I said and went to his house. Arriving there, I knocked and Ino opened the door. Hey Ino, can you call your dad? I asked. Sure, wait a minute, she said and ran into the house. I was very nervous this entire minute. When he came out, I began to get even more nervous, but still, I decided to say. Sorry for what I wanted to do to your mother, I did to you, we said in one voice. After that, we looked at each other with very surprised looks, but after 10 seconds, we both laughed very loudly. Oh, okay, Naruto, I forgive you, Inoichi said, eliminating the consequences of laughter, that is, wiping away his tears. Thank you, Inoichi-san, I have business with you, I said. Yes? And which one? He asked. My girlfriend, Sasuke, had her memory erased that she was dating me, I said with a sad smile, but not forgetting to put up a barrier. How do you know this? He asked, with a thoughtful look. Kyuubi told me this. So, can you help? I asked, hopefully. I will help you. I need you to put her to sleep and then I can get into her head, Inoichi said. Sasuke is unconscious right now, so if it's convenient for you right now, please help me, I said, bowing deeply. Okay, let's go, he said, and I took him to the training ground. Arriving at the training ground, Inoichi used his signature technique and entered Sasuke's subconscious. We all sat and nervously waited for him. After 10 minutes, he came out of Sasuke's subconscious and began to say. Sorry, Naruto. I have a bad news, he said, and after a pause, he continued, I'll start with the good. I was able to uncheck my love for Kiba, but I couldn't get my memory back. Most likely this is impossible. At this rate, the month allotted to us has passed. I trained and looked for a way. I searched the whole village, but found nothing. And so, tomorrow the third stage begins. Throughout my life, I have become much stronger. But I still cannot protect either myself or the people dear to me. How many times have I been beaten in my short life? How many times have people dear to me gotten it? Okay, I'm sure I can find a way. For most of this month, that's all I did. As Kushina said, I've already started to forget what you look like. So, here is the day of the exam. I can't wait to finish it. All because I told everything to Jiraiya and he said that after the exam, we will go on a small journey to find a way. The Hokage started his propaganda that only idiots listen to, so I missed it. At the end of the speech, Gecko came onto the platform. About. Gecko. Why are all the examiners my friends? I asked. In public, I try to hide my depression. Hello, Naruto. Kaka. Whoa, Gecko, are you sick? I asked again. Something like that. Kaka. Gecko cleared his throat again. Okay, expect guests in the evening. I said, and Gecko began to announce fights. First fight, Neji Hyuga vs Sasuke Uchiha. We went to the observation deck, while Sasuke and Neji remained below. If. Kaka. Both are ready, then. Kaka. Start. Said Gecko. No matter how many times Neji tried to hit Sasuke, he never succeeded. In a couple of hits, Sasuke knocked him out. Second fight, Dog no Temari against. Kaka. Sakura Haruno. Sakura pretty much wounded Temari, but ranged attacks did not allow Sakura to approach. Temari won. Third fight, Shikamaru Nara against. Kaka. Dog no Kankuro. I quietly whispered in Sheik's ear. Listen, I know you, so if you give in, then I'll arrange something for you that will definitely not be enough for you. Shikamaru swallowed nervously and nodded, going down to the landing. Kankuro immediately used his puppet, but Shika was very good at Tai and his speed was at the level of a strong Chunin. Shika shook Kankuro a little and he gave up. Fourth fight, Choji Akimichi vs Shino Aburame. Choji couldn't get close, and Shino couldn't hit, because he was also training with me. As a result, both ran out of chakra and declared a draw. And finally, the fifth battle. Kaka. Naruto Uzumaki vs Dog no Gaara. I walked towards the landing with an imposing step, as did Gaara. Gecko announced the beginning and Gaara began to try to hit me with his sand, but I successfully dodged. Suddenly, Gaara began to get angry, which seemed strange to me, but I continued to dodge. Finally, Gaara appeared in front of me, who was half in the sand. Feathers began to fall from the sky. P.F. What a weak genjutsu this is. Seeing that Shika was still lying down, I threw a kunai at him, which he had to dodge. Get up, Shika. I said. Okay. He said and got up and ran to me. As soon as the genjutsu was used, Temari and Kankuro took Gaara and ran outside the village boundaries. Shika and I ran after them because I had a bad feeling. When we caught up with them, Gaara was covered in sand and Shikaku was getting out, which is strange, because they seem to have become friends. Well, okay, we'll figure it out later. Now I need to deal with the one-tailed one. I decided to end the fight quickly and use chains, but I freaked out when the sand knocked my chains off. Shika, by the way, stayed along the way, because there was some group there and he decided to help me. I started a battle in which I was opposed not only by Shikaku, but also by some henchmen of Orochimaru. He was somewhat similar to Rikudo. I jumped to wake up Gaara and destroy the one tail, but when my fist almost touched Gaara's face, the guy's bone crashed into my hand. Yes, he has the genome of the Kagaya clan. They can use their bones however they want. As soon as the bone touched my hand, it almost immediately came off with torn pieces of meat. Even though it hurt, I decided not to focus on my hand and wake up Gaara. I hit him with my second hand and he woke up. Shikaku immediately began to crumble. That guy decided to continue attacking me, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't. Genome. If it weren't for him, my hand would be in place. I quickly dealt with the guy and broke his neck. He died instantly. Although I felt that he didn't have much time left. I immediately began healing my arm and activated Byakugo. The bleeding stopped and the wound began to heal. I walked up to Gaara and touching his forehead, I entered his subconscious. Upon entering, I saw Gaara and Shikaku sitting with blank looks, and small snakes sitting near their ears and preventing them from breaking out of the genjutsu. I destroyed the snakes and Gaara and Shikaku almost immediately came to their senses. "Hi guys," I said, sitting in front of them. "Naruto, what's wrong with your hand?" Gaara asked, and Shikaku nodded in agreement. "Nonsense." While I was trying to wake up Gaara, a guy from the Kagaya clan cut off my hand. I said, waving my left hand. "Kagaya mean? I thought they were all dead." Shikaku said. "Now everyone is dead." I said. "Naruto, so that this doesn't happen again, tell Kurama my words." Shikaku said, and after a pause, he continued. "Gather all 9 in one place." I was surprised by his words, but I didn't try to solve the puzzle. Ku could do it himself. The sound attack was quickly suppressed and the exam was postponed for a month. All this month, I got used to a new way of life. Life without a hand is very difficult. Jiraiya and I agreed that after the exam we would go not only to look for a way to return my memory, but also to look for Tsunade so that she could restore my arm. Here's the exam. Everyone tried to dissuade me from participating, because I don't have a hand, but I was adamant. Do you know what Sheik said? I quote, "I don't care, do what you want. Get hurt, right?" Also called best friend. Anyway. By the way, I cured Gecko. He had many fractures that healed incorrectly, including his ribs. First fight, Dog no Temari against Sasuke Uchiha. He said. We left the site, and Sasuke began to attack Temari, but she could not resist anything, because Tai, at the level of an average Junin, has the same speed. In general, Sasuke won without much effort. Second fight, Shikamaru Nara vs Naruto Uzumaki. Gecko said, and we started the battle. I stood still, and Shika threw his shadow at me, and when there wasn't much left before me, I launched my shadow and it grabbed Shika and didn't let him move. You still learned this, said Shika and gave up. Okay, now. The finale. Last stand. Naruto Uzumaki vs Sasuke Uchiha. Gecko said, and we stood opposite each other. Whispers could be heard throughout the stadium, along the lines of, he can't defeat the genius of the clan, a loser like him is no match for a genius, etc. These words really pissed me off and I decided to show them who the real genius here is. Sasuke started running towards me, but I didn't move. Ha ha ha. He was so scared that he couldn't even move. They shouted. Sasuke ran up to me and raised her hand to hit me, but I grabbed her hand and twisted it lightly. I don't want to hurt my girlfriend. Although. Is she mine? Okay. Sasuke somehow escaped and wanted to start attacking again, but I began to move with unimaginable speed and deliver weak blows. This was not enough for Sasuke and she took off her weights, weighing about 50 kilograms. People started whispering again that I had no chance, but I didn't pay attention. Sasuke picked up speed and ran towards me. Of course, I managed to dodge her blow, but the auto-defense that Shikaku gave me worked and the sand covered me. Flashback. Hello, Kurama. I said, entering the subconscious. Hey baby, did you want something? He asked. Yes, Shikaku told me to give you a message. How was it? Exactly, gather all 9 in one place. I said, and Kurama fell into a stupor. What? Did he really say that? Ku asked, to which I just nodded. Okay, then come closer, baby. Kurama said, and when I approached, he touched me with his claw and we stood like that for about 5 minutes. Are you sure you did everything right? I asked. Yes, just wait. He answered, and after a couple of minutes, we were transported to some place. Hello, brothers and sister. Kurama said. Kurama, why did you gather us? Asked some cat. Instead of Kurama. Shikaku answered. I asked him to gather us all together. Here, instead of Shikaku, Kurama said. Remember, father said that a person will appear who will treat us as equals? He asked. Yes, why? They asked in unison. In general, that person is my Jinchuriki. Kurama said, and I, who was sitting and didn't show it, said. Hello, cuties. Is this the man? Asked the turtle. Yes. Kurama answered, and everyone said. Hello, boy, what's your name? Hello, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. I said. Kurama, are you sure it's him? Asked the bijou, who resembled a beetle. Yes, Chome, it's him. There is no doubt, because he met with his father and he said that Naruto was the reincarnation of his youngest son. Said Ku. Okay, kid, you already know me, I'm Shikaku. Said the one-tailed raccoon. I am Matatabi. Said the two-tailed cat. I am Isabu. Said the three-tailed turtle. I am Son Goku. Said the four-tailed monkey. I am Kokuo. Said the five-tailed horse. I am Saiken. Said the six-tailed snail. I am Chome. Said the seven-tailed beetle. I'm Gyuki. Said the eight-tailed octopus. I think you already know me. Said Ku. Very funny, Kurama. I said and smiled, adding. Guys, I'm very pleased to meet you all. We are with you too. They said in unison and smiled. Naruto, come here. Shikaku said. I approached and they all put their paws on top of each other. Baby, touch your paw. Said Son, whose paw was the lowest. I touched his paw and felt a huge surge of strength. Sand began to fly around me, my hair lit up with a blue flame, but did not burn. From Isabu, I inherited the ability to stay underwater for a long time and many water techniques. The ground on which I stood turned into lava, but I did not drown. I felt that I became much faster, thanks to Kokuo's gift. When I opened my mouth, several bubbles flew out of it, 6 wings flew out of my back, and an octopus tentacle appeared in place of the hand that I don't have. Kurama didn't give me anything, because it's already inside me. END flashback. Everyone was surprised that the sand covered me, and I jumped back and said. Since you are serious, then I will be serious. After these words, I lifted my sleeves, and there were small weights hanging there. Does he think this will change anything? They said around the stadium. Yes, the weights are indeed small, but this does not mean that they are light. I channeled chakra into the weights and they fell. Yeah, everything got really ugly. Where the weights fell, a very deep crater was left. I took a step and literally disappeared. Even yellow lightning will be jealous of my speed. Although this is not all the speed. If I remove the rest of my weights, activate the 5 tails and 9 tails mode, use the Hiration and activate the lightning cloak, then no one can keep up with me. But for this fight, 2 weights and a lightning shroud will suffice. I began to strike quickly at Sasuke, who did not have time to block them. Sasuke, it's boring with you. I said, sitting down under the wall. Don't underestimate me. She shouted and ran towards me. I just sat there. And when Sasuke reached her, she simply froze, with her fist raised. You can't do that, Sasuke. Attack a sitting opponent. I said, wagging my finger, like but. Getting up, I walked over to her and pushed her lightly. Sasuke fell and never got up again. There was silence in the stadium. Gecko broke it, saying. P1. Uzumaki Naruto. The stadium exploded. Everyone started praising me. God, what bastards they are. Flashed through my head and approaching Sasuke, I removed the seals that I had placed. She was unconscious, so I had to carry her home. The temptation to kiss was too great, so I did it. How I miss this. I said and put Sasuke down, knocked, and retreated. I was transported back to the stadium, where everyone was still cheering. The 4th one came down to me, and I stood with my back to him, because I was lifting the weights and putting them on. When I turned around, the Hokage began to say. Well done, Naruto. You passed the Chunin exam. He said and handed me a green vest. There was pride in his voice and no hatred, which is very strange. He hates me. Okay. I took the vest and put it on, disappearing in a flash. The stadium was once again filled with applause and shouts. I moved straight to the village gates. Near them stood Jiraiya and Mom. Mother. Have you decided to come with us yet? I asked. Mom came up to me and kissed me, saying, "Of course, I'll die of boredom." Yes, we told Jiraiya everything, and he was not surprised, because everyone knows that incest is accepted in the Uzumaki clan. "Okay, lovebirds, let's move out," Jiraiya said, and we left the village. We had barely walked 2 kilometers when we were attacked. And who do you think it is? Again the swordsman of the fog, Hashigake Kisame, and with him some guy in a mask. I felt the Sharingan in his eye, and its structure was very similar to mine. Hashigake Kisame. One of the swordsmen of the mist. I said and continued. Already the second one. Listen, why don't I collect all 7 swords if it happens? Boy, are you self-confident? Said the shark-like one. So what? There are already Kubikuribocho. I said and unsealed the sword. Stay here, I can handle it myself. I told my mother and godfather. But, Mom wanted to say, but didn't have time. I disappeared and started punching the shark. The guy in the mask tried to help his partner, but I hit him so quickly that he did not have time to miss the blow through himself. Stand here. I'll take care of you later. Obito. I whispered the last word, but so that he could hear me and continue to beat Kisame. He tried to block the blow with his sword, but I was much faster. By the way, if you ask why am I so fast even if I haven't even taken off my weights? I will answer you that I have improved the Hiration and now I don't need seals and kunai to move around. I need to release my chakra and then I can move in it. For several minutes I was just beating up the shark. I got tired of this and added more chakra to my fist and hit him in the head, causing it to fly off. Everyone was freaked out by this, just like me. I took the sword and felt that it had Kisame's chakra inside it. I broke the sword in 2 and one of the halves turned into a swordsman. I quickly dealt with it. I decided to finish off Obito, but when I transferred to him, he sucked himself into Kamui, and I was too lazy to go there. Walking up to the sword, which was lying on the ground, I took it and began to make seals. After 10 to 15 hand seals, the sword began to transform and now I was holding a beautiful katana of the best quality. Yees. The Uzumaki knew their stuff. I said, looking at the katana. What did they do with my katana that it got so bad? Okay, let's move on. I said. Darling, that man in the mask is the one who attacked us on your birthday and pulled kurama out of me. Mom said, and I was surprised, but quickly pulled myself together and answered. That means his death will be slow. We've been walking for 3 hours already. As I reached the village where Tsunade was last seen, I felt some kind of pull. It was as if something was attracting me. I quietly replaced myself with a clone and ran in the direction I was being pulled. I ran for 20 minutes. Nothing was visible, but I felt myself being drawn there. Suddenly, out of nowhere, ruins appeared in front of me, which I almost crashed into, but managed to break. There were signs of our clan everywhere and I realized that these were the ruins of the Uzumaki clan. I walked all over the place, but found nothing. I was about to leave, but an idea came into my head. Having cut his hand, the ground began to flood with blood. I started to feel dizzy because about 2 liters of blood spilled out. For some reason, the blood stopped flowing and the wound healed sharply. The earth parted and there was a passage. I went inside and started looking around. There were many shelves with books and scrolls. I searched everything and took away interesting techniques for myself. And so, I come to the last shelf, on which there is only one scroll. I take it and when I open it, a terrible pain shoots through my body. I fell to my knees. I wanted to scream, but I restrained myself. After 10 minutes, the pain began to subside. I stood up and began to read. This is a scroll in which appears the technique that you need most. Uzumaki Naruto, you need a technique to regain your memory. I am giving it to you. What? Where does my name come from? I asked in a surprised voice. About that, you don't have to worry, I know the names of all the Uzumaki who take me in their hands. Text appeared in the scroll. Do you have consciousness? I asked. Of course there is. After all, I am the Ninchi, knowledge, scroll, an artifact of the Uzumaki clan. Wrote in the scroll. Okay, should I call you Ninchi? I asked. If you want. Okay, Nincher, so what about technology? Yes, exactly. The technique is called Keiko no Chishiki, knowing the past. When you use the technique, your memories are duplicated and transferred to the person you want to transfer. The technique works great, but there is a side effect. When you transfer the memories, you will lose empathy and you won't be able to feel emotions. Nothing else was written on the scroll. I use this technique and I don't care what I lose there. I said without thinking. Naruto, I think I can return your emotions, Kurama told me. Okay, thanks Ku, I replied. Great. And what do you need to use the technology? You need to focus on the memories you want to convey. Then you make the following seals: sheep, dog, tiger, ox, dragon, monkey, horse, rabbit, bird, pig and rat. You direct the chakra and use the technique, looking at the right person. Nincher wrote. Okay, thank you, Nincher. We'll chat more later. I said. Come on, Naruto. Call me if anything happens. I rolled up the scroll and put it in my pocket. I'm scared. I'm really scared. The clone I left with them dissipated due to the pain I felt when opening the scroll. I looked around for the last time and found some kind of scroll. Having unfolded it, I saw nothing, it was empty. Okay, I'll figure it out later. I left the temple and ran towards the village. The closer I got, the more scared I became. If I catch my mother's eye, she will kill me. Anyway. I ran to the gate to the village and made a hand-face gesture, because I remembered the Hiration mark that is on my mother. I moved to my mother and at the same time regretted and was glad that I did it. My mother stood in front of the mirror completely naked and examined herself. Noticing me, my mother's face immediately became very angry. Scum, have you gone crazy? She asked and approached me. She was about to hit me, but she saw that my tears were flowing. Honey, did something happen? She asked, in an alarmed voice. Yeah, I love the character of the Uzumakis and their sudden mood swings. I immediately hugged her tightly and began to say. Dear, sniff. I found him. Found this way. Hooray. Finally. She exclaimed and hugged me back. We stood there for a few minutes and after that, Mom got dressed and we left the hotel. We neglected the old man, because he was most likely already drunk. We went to almost all the casinos and bars, and finally found her. Hello, Tsunade. Mom began. Kushina. But what are you doing here? Asked the grandmother. I came for you. I need your help. Mom answered. And what do you need help with? Tsunade asked. In short, Minato deceived everyone. Naruto is alive and he is here now. Hello. I intervened. This can't be. But why did he lie? Tsunade asked again. I don't know, but the help is to give Naruto's hand back. Mom said. Tsunade looked at me in surprise, and I shrugged and began the story. During the Chunin exam, Konoha was attacked by Orochimaru and the Army of Sound. I fought with a one-tailed Tanuki, who was under Genjutsu, and he was protected by one of Orochimaru's minions, and when I was almost waking up Gaara, he hit my arm with his vertebra and it came off. I finished and waved the stub of my hand. Well, can you help? Mom asked with hope in her voice. Of course I'll help. He's my godson. Tsunade answered. Thank you, Tsunade. Mom said and hugged her. It's just that I need help myself. Tsunade said. No. Don't tell me you want to ask him for help. I said. Exactly. I can't handle it on my own. I need Orochimaru's help. Tsunade said. But how are you going to persuade him? Mom shouted. I know his weakness. Nenin, we will not give him the Sharingan. I said. Oh, but this is the second weakness. I meant the other one. It lies in the fact that he is dying little by little. If he doesn't change his body every 2 years, he'll simply die. Tsunade said. Now I understand what you're getting at. You think that only S-rank medicine can help him. I said. Exactly. But how will we find him? Mom asked a logical question. I know where several of his hideouts are. Let's hope he's in one of them. Tsunade said. After 5 hours, we came to a village hidden in the sound. This is where one of his hideouts is located. As soon as we approached the entrance, we were surrounded and Orochimaru came out in front. And what did the people of Konoha forget here? He asked. First, remove your mongrels, otherwise it's not very pleasant to speak surrounded by these marked ones. I answered. Some of his men did not tolerate this attitude and tried to attack, but I dodged their blows and wooden spears appeared from my hand, which left a scratch on those who attacked me. Take it easy. I am a guest of your esteemed host. I said. Orochimaru snapped his finger and 4 people surrounded me. They began to attack me, but I easily dodged their blows. Impossible. Only Orochimaru-sama and Kimimaro-sama can dodge our attacks. Said one of them. Wait. Kimimaro. Is this by any chance the one from the Kagaya clan? I asked. Exactly. How do you know this? Asked Orochimaru. Oh, I killed him. I said, and everyone's eyes widened. The bastard was strong. If it weren't for him, my hand would be in place. I said. He could only deprive you of your hand? Someone shouted from the crowd of mongrels. If it weren't for the one-tailed one, would have killed him without a single scratch. I answered and rubbed the stub of my hand. Have you really become that strong in just 2 months? The snake hissed. About. You can't even imagine how much. I bared my teeth. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Somehow I don't want to die, if last time I somehow left you. Orochimaru answered. So what? Will you remove them or should I do it myself? I asked. Orochimaru waved his hand and only me, Mom, Tsunade, Orochimaru himself and his student Kabuto remained in the clearing. Follow me. Orochimaru said and followed inside the shelter. When we entered one of the rooms, the snake asked a question. And what do the Konoha shinobi need from me? Orochimaru, as I already said, Kimimaro chopped off my hand and I want you to help Tsunade grow a new one. I answered. I agree. I'm very interested to see how strong you will become. But what will happen to me from this? He asked the expected question. We will cure you of your illness. Tsunade answered. Actually, to heal me, you need at least 2 S-rank medics, or even all 3. Said the snake. I hasten to reassure you, there are 3 S-rank medics here. Mom answered. What are you talking about? But for some reason I only see 1. Orochimaru said and pointed at Tsunade. Orochimaru-sama, they are telling the truth. I personally took Naruto's S-rank medic exam. Said Kabuto. Okay, I believe you and will help. Said Orochimaru. After half a day, we were able to cure this snake of his illness, but to make sure, I implanted a seal of destruction into him, in case he decides to betray me. Well, snake? Now it's your turn to fulfill your part of the bargain. I said. You are right. Orochimaru answered. Now. Go to sleep. He shouted and I began to fall. I woke up only about 5 hours later and in the place of the severed hand, there was a hand wrapped in a bandage. I stood up and began to unwind the bandage. No. Stop. Tsunade shouted, but it was too late and I saw my terrible, rotten hand. I immediately started vomiting. What is this? I asked, turning away from the hand. Fool, no need to unwind. Wait a couple of weeks until the hand grows skin and chakra channels grow in the hand. Tsunade said. Okay. I won't take pictures, I answered. A couple of hours later I got up and we started getting ready. We went out and Orochimaru came out to see us off. Well, thank you, Orochimaru. Because you kept your promise, I will remove my seal from you. I said and touched him. Ha. Thank you, otherwise she brought me significant inconvenience. Listen, Naruto, come to me when you have time. I'll teach you something. Said the snake. Okay. I was just about to go on a trip for several years. I said and smiled. I'll be looking forward to seeing you. He hissed. By the way, how did you remove my Jun? I was too lazy to bother, so I asked Kyubi to remove the seal. I answered. I like you more and more. Orochimaru hissed. Okay, be there. I said and took my mother's hand and began to leave. Now, two people were walking towards the village hidden in the leaf, Naruto and Kushina. I'll go for a walk. I'll be home soon. I said. Okay, dear. But not for long. Mom said. Fine. I laughed and walked along the main street. Walking along the street, I saw many young couples. I thought about it. Yes, our couple is unusual, but still, it seems to me that it's time to propose to Kushina. It was decided, when I return from my trip, I will propose to Kushina and Sasuke. It's true what they say, remember the devil, here he is. Ahem, that is, the goddess. Hello Sasuke. I said. Oh, Naruto. Hello. Sorry for my words during the exam. She answered me. Do not mind it. Listen, can you come see me in 40 minutes? I answered and asked. Certainly. And by the way, thank you for taking me home after the exam. Sasuke said and quickly kissed me on the cheek. She hurried away, all red with shame. I was surprised, but moved on. Arriving at Mount Hokage, I sat on the head of the first one. I was observing a village that I would not see for the next few years. After 20 minutes, I decided that it was time to notify the Hokage. I went down the mountain and went to the residence. Arriving there, I knocked on the door and heard the standard, come in, and went inside. Naruto? Did you want something? Asked the Hokage. Yo. I came to say that Jiraiya and I will be leaving the village for an indefinite period and we need a pass from you. I answered. Why did you think that I would give it to you? He asked the obvious question. Well, firstly, this will only make you feel better, because I'm already stronger than any Junin in the village and I'll only become stronger. And secondly, if you don't give us a pass, we'll leave on our own. I answered. Minato thought. The first option is more convenient for you, and the second is more beneficial for me, because if everyone thinks that you are a nuke nin, they will attack and you will become even stronger. No one stronger than B rank will attack, so it's not profitable. I answered. Okay, you'll have a pass. Come back in 2 hours. Minato said, and I just left the office and went home. On the way, I looked for my godfather and when I found him, I told him about the pass and we agreed to meet near the gate to the village in 2.5 hours. When I arrived home, my mother met me. We talked until Sasuke arrived. I would like to talk and talk, because when I return Sasuke's memory, I will not be able to understand a single feeling, and I will not be able to experience it. Sasuke arrived and when I let her in, I walked up to Kushina and hugged her. I put all my feelings and emotions that I experienced into these hugs. Mom cried, but I quickly calmed her down. I understand your feelings, for now. You won't see me like this for a long time. I said and pressed her to me as tightly as possible. In what sense is that kind of me? Asked Sasuke, clearly excited. After using one technique, I will lose my empathy and emotions. I said. I pulled away from my mother and walked towards Sasuke. After what technique? Why use it? Questions poured in from Sasuke. You won't know this yet. I answered and with a slight movement of my hand I knocked out the girl standing in front of me. Sorry. I whispered, picked her up in my arms and carried her to the bed. Placing Sasuke on the bed, I began to make seals, and did it very slowly. Having finished, I touched Sasuke's forehead and felt that a decent amount of chakra had disappeared from me. The created copy of the memories began to pass to Sasuke, and I myself was becoming an emotionless vegetable. Well, that's the price. I heard in my head. You're right, Kurama. I answered. I left the room and saw my mother, who for some reason was crying. Why are you crying? I asked. Because you have lost your emotions. Mom answered me. What kind of emotions? I asked and sat down at the table. We talked for an hour and a half, and during this time I got a general idea of emotions and feelings. Naruto, apparently, when you communicate with people close to you, your feelings and emotions return much faster. Kurama said. You're probably right. I answered. Okay, I'll go. I still need to go see Minato. I said and stood up. Wait. I heard, and when I turned around, I found myself in my mother's arms. I didn't understand why this was, but I didn't object, but simply hugged her back. We stood like that for several minutes, after which I broke the hug and went to the door. Finally, I said. My godfather and I are leaving in an hour. Come to the gate if you want. Leaving the house, I walked towards the Hokage residence. Having collected the pass, I went to Shikamaru. When I reached his house, I knocked and Shikaku opened the door. Good afternoon. I said. Hello, Naruto. I'll call Shikamaru now. They answered me. Thank you. I thanked him and began to wait for Sheik. Yo, Naruto. What did you want? Asked Shikamaru, who had just appeared. Hello, Shika. I came in to say that we were leaving the village in an hour. I answered. Okay, I'll come. Said Shika. Fine. Oh, and by the way, if you don't become a Junin before I arrive, you won't have a chance to rest. I said in a cold voice. Okay. Answered Shikamaru, accustomed to this. By the way, Naru, what happened? You're a little too cold. I used a technique to restore Sasuke's memory and lost my emotions because of it. I answered. I understand. I went to the exit of the village and sat with my elbows on the gate. Hey Naruto, did something happen? Kotetsu asked. Not really. We're just leaving the village for training now. I answered. Clear. After sitting for another 10 minutes, I saw several people walking in my direction. It was Mom, Shika, Kakashi, Guy and Jiraiya. Hi all. I said. Hello. They answered me. We said goodbye for 10 minutes and finally decided to leave. See you in 3 years. I said. Bye Naruto. Everyone told me. We left the village, having previously shown our pass to the guards, and walked into the distance. During the few minutes that the gate was visible, I saw that everyone was still standing. Well, we won't be back for a long time. This is where the story ends.